Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen Hyder. This is Gate City Sports Channel, and I got a couple of special guests with me today. To my right is Jalen Williams. Just beneath the two of us here, that's Caleb. Guys, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know your background, all that good stuff.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Caleb Brannon. I play ball at Charleston Southern University. The coaching staff I played under is currently at Coastal Carolina, and I played center. Currently live in South Carolina still.
My name is Jalen Williams. I played at Virginia State University, and I'm what? I think I'm 5 years removed now from playing. So
Still young, Jalen. Still young, bro.
talking about young. I feel
Young,
like I'm
man.
75.
Man, I feel you, man. I'm only
75.
like four. I'm only 4 years removed, man. But that body feel like trash.
Oh,
That body
you
feel like
you had to get
trash,
any
man.
surgeries?
Man, I got tendonitis in both knees. I ain't have no bad injuries. I just got bruised. You know, just the regular, just
Yeah.
regular knee pains. But I ain't have no. Luckily, I ain't have no crucial knee injuries. I just had some groins and a few hamstrings. That's it.
I opted not to get surgery to be ready for my freshman season. I had an avulsion fracture of my patella tendon. So basically, your patella tendon is torn.
Yeah.
So instead of getting surgery and being out 9 months, I actually just sucked it up and said, I'll get the surgery after the season, blah, blah, blah. I'll be ready for the next season afterwards. Nope, it did not happen like that. And still aching me to this day.
Hey, that's why I didn't want to play the line. That's why I made the executive decision that maybe I should see if I can throw a football.
I know that's right, man. The wear and tear on the body is just crazy on the inside. I'm telling you, the wear and tear,
Hey,
the
man.
constant banging. But I love it.
Hey, man, Sunday hurt.
Facts. Sundays,
Sunday hurt.
man. What? When you lift them legs up, let them legs throb out for a little minute.
So just real quick, everybody, I've charted the last 4 drafts in this current draft class. Just so everybody knows for the conversation this evening. We're going to do our best to kind of give you our best insight about the players. It's really hard to make comparables yet, guys. I mean, even with all the charting I've done, you still need more time. But when we get to the player profile videos, I will give you who I think is a fairly decent player comp. I mean, every person's their own individual, but I'll give you my best estimate of who they remind me of. With that said, I just want to make it clear, guys, the 10 players that I charted for this current draft class. Some of you guys, just to give you guys a heads up, some of the guys like, Slovis and some other guys opted to stay in college. The big dude, what's his name, Shaw, he stayed in college. So there's a few guys that didn't come out in this draft class. So draft class isn't quite as good as it probably looked a couple of months ago. But that said, here are the guys that, I've had the opportunity to kind of chart so far. It's Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Carson Strong, Matt Corral, Sam Howell, Bailey Zapp, Desmond Ridder, Brock Purdy, Jack Cohn, Skylar Thompson. So these are the 10 guys I charted. And then just to kind of take you guys all the way back, I really wanted to get to 2016, guys. I just ran out of time. So maybe when I do some stuff for the website, I'll chart 2016 with all this stuff, guys, and give you 5 years plus the current draft class. Because I know you guys probably like, come on, man, well, I would like to see Carson and these other guys, Dak's numbers beside all these guys. I apologize, guys. It was just a time crunch to get this out to you guys in a timely manner and have enough time to kind of do all this. But 2017, going back, Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, Deshaun Kaiser, Davis Webb, C.J. Beathard. I only did the first 3 rounds, guys. 2018, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson, Mason Rudolph. 2019, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock, Will Grier. 2020, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts. 2021, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, and Davis Mills. That is 40 quarterbacks in total, 30 from rounds 1 through 3 through 2017 through 2021, and an additional 10 quarterbacks from this draft class that are all charted, guys. We're ready to kind of talk a little bit. Canadian Freedom Convoy. Good morning, Gates Gorilla. NFC East Beast. It's getting really hard to keep up with all these names you keep creating, man. But, so let me ask you guys, who's your favorite quarterback from this draft class?
Ooh. Off the top of my head, I would say Malik Willis.
Malik
Between
Willis.
Malik Willis, man, the upside, the cannon is crazy. And a lot of people talk about the intangibles, and that's one thing that I know that's kind of going away. And you even hear coaches now or analysts now kind of say the intangibles doesn't matter as much as it used to.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of completely disagree with that as a quarterback, especially as an old lineman. The integrity of the quarterback definitely matters and definitely kind of gives off the vibe and mojo for the offense. And I definitely feel as if Malik Willis, with the cannon he has and the way everybody brags about his character, I feel like that's my favorite. That doesn't mean I'm talking about just my favorite for this year, though. That doesn't mean he's just a world beater, though. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of his, though.
Yeah, the upside is there. There's no doubt about it, man. I mean, watching that guy throw a football, I feel the same way the first time I watched Trey Lance throw, which is, holy crap, there's talent here. Holy crap, he's still got a long ways to go. In terms of, watching the route systems and the concepts that they were running there at Liberty, and then same thing with Trey Lance at North Dakota State. I just didn't think the offense was overly complex in terms of the route combinations they were running, but you could see the underlying talent. I mean, I think both of those guys, if the game ever slows down for Malik Willis, the game ever slows down for Trey Lance, holy crap, those are going to be very, very special talents in the NFL. Like, there's some things that you just can't teach. It's just, your mom and dad gave it to you or they didn't, and those two guys have it, whatever that is. Like, it's just there with them. Now, I will say there was another player that you named where I said, we talked a little bit backstage about him, and I said I like the underlying talent a whole lot, but I don't think he's ready to touch the field yet because I see his numbers versus pressure and some things like that. He's just not there yet in terms of being able to handle an NFL defense. But I do think that he's incredibly talented. And he's another one of these guys like Malik Willis that if the game slows down for him, it is kind of like one of those, watch out, let's see what this young man could do if the game ever slowed down for him. And that's Matt Corral. I will say that I charted 40 guys, and just to give everyone a heads up, when we talk about versus pressure out of 40 guys, he ranked in a tie for 38th with C.J. Beathard versus pressure. I mean, he's got some length to go there. He's got a lot of development that has to happen. But there are some very saving grace things about him. His arm talent is there. He's very much a one read, two read, high low high kind of concept stuff. Maybe flood concepts, and then get out of the pocket. But I will say they're like saving graces is he doesn't hold the ball very long. Like, in terms of these college quarterbacks, and I know like 3.5 seconds versus pressure, you're going to get killed in the NFL at that. It's true. It's very true, but in college, it's actually a really good marker. So I definitely think that there's a lot of like kind of Jekyll and Hyde to these guys. There's a lot of good with the bad. You know what I mean? It's really difficult to break some of them down just because of how sporadic college football is. But Jalen, I'll ask you, who was are you in agreement? Is Malik Willis your favorite player from this draft class?
He would have been mine. The one I'm more curious about is Sam Howell.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because you seen him light it up. You seen him light it up when he had stuff around him.
Yeah.
But this year is nothing around him, and I wonder. It makes you a bit curious of, was it the talent that was around him that made him that good, or was it him just being able to make everything gel around him and be smooth, and those guys were able to come out and play?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? And I understand that this year he lost a lot and he didn't look as good, but there might be something there because Justin Herbert had something very similar to what Sam Howell went through. I'm not comparing the two at all, but the situations are very similar.
Mm-hmm. Look, I mean, I was joking. For y'all that don't know, I'm an NC State guy, so I'm just joking about the Sam Howell thing. He's definitely one of the more pro-ready quarterbacks in this draft class. With that said, I'm an NC State guy. I'm never going to tell you that a UNC player is good. I can't do it. Can't do it. My heart of hearts, I can't do it, guys. Just can't do it. With that said, I want to bring up something that you mentioned, Jalen. Joe Burrow. If there was ever a guy that I was probably missed the forest for the trees on, it was Joe Burrow. And I'm going to explain to you what happened to me, guys. I got far too caught up in 1 year of production and said, you can't trust 1 year of production. 1 year production's it's not enough of a sample size. I missed the forest for the trees on Joe Burrow, because what I didn't realize until I really charted this stuff, guys, let me break down Joe Burrow versus pressure. Okay, this is the type of season he had I believe it was his senior year at LSU. So 81 of 122, 66.4% versus pressure. It's unheard of. It's ridiculous. 1,391 yards, 17 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was graded out as an 81.6 versus pressure, still one of the highest ratings I've seen versus pressure. 12 big-time throws for a 9.3% rate on big-time throws. 6 turnover-worthy passes, an average depth of target of 11.7 yards, so intermediate area. 9 throwaways, 36 sacks. Pressure to sack rate 19.1. Definitely a guy that you can tell that needs to work a little bit about, getting out of the pocket and doing things. You can tell that there's a little issue with that. Time to throw 3.72 seconds. Remember what I told you guys. College football, you can't compare it to pros. It's a little different on these time to throws versus pressure. And then scrambles, 30 scrambles. He definitely was leaving the pocket. He was definitely getting sacked. He was playing a little off, but man, the passer rating on this guy, 158.3, guys, is a perfect passer rating. He had 141.1 passer rating versus pressure. I've never seen anything like that. I've charted a lot of guys. I've never seen someone perform like this versus pressure. And I'm here to tell you guys right from the jump. I don't care what anyone tells you. There's no Joe Burrow in this draft. There is not. It's just not there, guys. I've searched long and hard trying to compare a guy to him, and just the further you get into the film, the further you get into the analytics, the more clear it is there's not a Joe Burrow here. Doesn't mean there's not good football players in this draft class in terms of the quarterbacks, but you ain't getting Joe Burrow this class. This is not happening. What did you guys think? I mean, what were your thoughts about, let's be honest, the one I hear compared the most is Kenny Pickett to Joe Burrow. Do you think that's just more so because they're trying to state that maybe the hand size doesn't matter, and maybe people are getting a little carried away and not understanding, not necessarily relating the game, just relating the physical attributes of the player? What are you guys' thoughts about that whole comparison?
I've never understood people that just compare people because of the size. Never understood that. I compare people by their game style, me personally. And I feel as if your game style doesn't correlate directly with the person you're comparing them to, I've never understood that. Now, if you say like they favor each other physically, like the way they're built, you see what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's a completely different thing. But when you're talking football, talking size and film is completely different. I mean, I can say somebody look like somebody, but they be completely opposite. You see what I'm saying? I can have a guy 6'3", 200 at quarterback at a D3 school, and a guy that's 6'3", 200, and he's at Alabama. 2 completely different players. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not – I guess I'm trying to – they do that every year. They try to compare the year before or the year before that to this class right here coming up and try to compare and contrast to the guys. There's no Joe Burrow in this draft. There is none. After the year he had, it doesn't even take – and this is the great thing about your show, man, about how you went down into detail and broke down the blitz numbers and all that. And that's the game within the game. That's the type of stuff that people usually don't know about, but makes a huge difference for Joe Burrow. But even if you take that away, if you just watch the season he had, quarterbacks did not do that this year. And that is just very true. And that is very true. And I feel like, especially since he comes from the SEC, that's very, very important for people to realize. He did that at LSU. He did that at LSU on the highest stage, on the highest level, which also I feel like kind of rolls on into the way he's able to perform in the playoffs, the way he's been performing in the Super Bowl. All that has to do with him being in big moments, and Pickett hasn't had that. You see what I'm saying? That's the stuff that people ain't talking about. Like, yes, he played against certain people and things like that, but he hasn't had to go through the same journey as Joe Burrow either, and which, in my opinion, that's very important as a quarterback.
Yeah. So I want to dive in, guys. Kenny Pickett. Complex guy to break down. Really exciting to watch football on. And I've done the best I can to keep my judgment clear of Kenny Pickett, but I've had, a very long conversation with somebody that is very close to Kenny Pickett. They were teammates. And, they really believe in Kenny Pickett's talent. And I've done the best I can to try to not let that get into my head, because I trust this person's eyes. I just don't know if maybe their proximity to the player maybe clouds their judgment on said guy. I'm referring to Max Brown, guys. Max Brown was very, very high on Kenny Pickett. Talked about him as a freshman and how the minute he stepped on the football field, like he could tell he was going to be a really good player. Kenny Pickett from a clean pocket. Kenny Pickett's dangerous, man, from a clean pocket. There's no doubt about it. On the season, man, 334 completions on 499 attempts, 66.9 completion percentage. Dudes were dropping balls on him left and right, 9.2% drop rate from his team. Pittsburgh, catch the ball, bro. Like, for real. His adjusted completion rate is 78.8%. They hurt him. They definitely hurt him on some stuff, man. 4,308 yards passing, 42 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's graded out as a 92.3 as a passer. It's not quite to the level we've seen some guys that have come out in the last couple of years, but very solid grading, very solid numbers. Big time throws, 5.5%, 29 on the season. Turnover worthy passes, 17, 2.8% on the season. Average depth of targets, about 9.7 yards. Throwaways, 26, sacks, 31. His pressure to sack rate's 19.3%. Time to throw. This is where I think things get a little skewed with Kenny Pickett, and I get a little worried. 3.19 time to throw. Got to be faster than that, Kenny. What's that? You got to be quicker than that. Remember that commercial?
Oh, you got to be quicker than
that.
Scrambles, 50. Kenny Pickett with 50 scrambles. I didn't see that coming. Not going to lie. But his passer rating, 116. There's a lot of good with the bad here. I'm going to tell you that 3.19 time to throw, he's going to have to decrease that quite a bit in the NFL. Like, can't hold the ball that long. You're going to get killed in the NFL doing that.
Also, he's a little loose with that ball when he in the pocket as well. If you look at him, if you look at that how that ball is sitting in their pocket, it's one hand loose. It's willy-nilly out there. And when he's under pressure, he starts to look like I'm not gonna say deer in headlights because that's overused. He starts to get a little frizzled and frazzled, like, okay, I got to make something happen. Here you go. And
when the pocket breaks down, he's in trouble. I agree. And it's not a lack of athleticism, Jalen, as crazy as that is. He's an athletic dude.
He moves very well. I'm looking at it right now.
I know exactly what you're saying. I've seen it too a couple times where he panics.
Yep. Dealing with pressure. That's what I'm talking about. That's the difference. And I know it might be showing up in this film, but that's why Joe Burrow is so cool, man. Joe Shiesty, Mr. Cool guy himself. He does great under pressure, and that translates over in blitz pickups as well, or just moving under pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Passes over 20 yards, guys. This is where his numbers. 38 to 74, 51.4%. Decent completion rate. 1,299 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's got a 95.1 grading. That's PFF's personal grading. 3.17 time to throw. Still a little long. I mean, look, when you're throwing over 20 yards, of course, you're going to hold the ball a little longer, but you definitely don't want to be almost 3.2 seconds. NFL passer rating 108.4, I believe. Looks like either 0.4 or 0.9, guys. The thing kind of ran on me a little bit there. Those are respectable numbers. Like, he can sling the ball down the field. There's no doubt about it. I saw it on his film. I don't think he's got the greatest arm. I'll be honest with you. I think Joe Burrow's arm is better than Kenny Pickett's. But, he's got an NFL level arm. I mean, I don't know, guys. I'd probably call it average. I mean, what are your thoughts about arm talent, arm strength with Kenny Pickett?
I think. Go ahead, boss.
Go ahead, man. You good?
No.
You probably got something better to say anyway.
I was just, man, when I was looking at it, I like his arm, but you know how everybody likes to see explosive cannon. And once again, on highlights and stuff, it's kind of hard when you don't have the all-22 because all of them are going to look good. But I think his arm is decent. It ain't Malik Willis. That's just the facts. And that's okay.
Sure.
Like I say that all the time. That's okay. Like, we've done seen people with the big arm that don't pan out. And we've seen people with small arms be very, very, very serviceable quarterbacks. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, dealing under pressure, I think that's the best thing that you brought up the whole entire time. Stats under blitz is very, very important. And I think that also gives a good judge on how they're going to translate it in the league, because that right there is probably the biggest trouble they have. And I think being able to pick up blitz is a direct correlation with being able to handle the pressures in the NFL as well. And everything, just from everyday things to just all that. I feel like people that tend to pick up blitzes like that always seems to be very cool and calm, collected people. Always seems that way.
Yeah, 100%. Hey man, Joe Burrow, the same. I mean, look, the guy, I got to give him credit, man. He's a smooth operator versus pressure. Although, like I said, I think Joe Burrow, he's athletic, kind of similar to Kenny Pickett in that way, to where it's not like he's not an athlete, but when the pressure's really there, he's going down. Like he's going down. What's up, Jalen? What were you going to say?
So this is one thing I wanted to add to that. When he throws that ball, it looks like he's having to actually force it down the field.
Yeah.
I'm looking at him throw right now, literally as we're speaking. He, if anything over like, I don't know, 30 yards, he's having to make sure he's add extra torque into it. You can see he's, all right, I got to really wind up for this one. On the run, it seems like it's a bit smoother.
It does look smooth on the run.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's not a sexy arm. No homo. It's an adequate one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And look, he's okay versus pressure. So I'm going to lay out everything for everybody, guys. So everybody in the chat, just that way you guys have I'm going to take you guys up to the top 15. So out of the last, since 2017, all the way up to this current draft class, it's 40 guys in total, rounds 1 through 3, plus 10 guys I charted from this class. This is the way these guys ranked versus pressure. Number 1 is Joe Burrow. Number 2 is Mac Jones. Number 3 was Trey Lance, believe it or not. Number 4 was Baker Mayfield. Still don't understand that one. Number 5 is Skylar Thompson. He's a young man out of Kansas State from this draft class. Number 6 is Jalen Hurts. Number 7 is Kyler Murray. Number 8 is Kyle Trask. Number 9 is Zach Wilson. 10 is Mason Rudolph. 11 was Desmond Ridder. I want to get to Desmond Ridder because I really like some of the underlying stuff with him. 12 is Lamar Jackson. 13 is Deshaun Watson. 14 is Kenny Pickett. 15 is Tua. I'm not even going to try to butcher his last name. Tua. It's just Tua, all right?
Oh, TT.
Yeah, TT. Kenny Pickett ranks 14th, man. 14 out of 40 is not bad. I mean, he's clearly got some growth to go versus pressure. His numbers are 45 of 102, 44%, 570 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Hey, at least he gets the ball across the goal line. I'll give him that. 10-2 is a good ratio. They gave him a PFF rating of a 60. That's their own personalized, thing there. 9 big-time throws, which works its way out to an 8.1%, which is very good. Like, my thing is if you're not going to be great at reading pressure, you better make big plays, right? Because if not, there's nothing for a defense to fear. 8 turnover-worthy passes, 4.6%, gets into your point, Jalen, to where sometimes you can just see he really gets rushed and he makes mistakes versus pressure. Average depth of target, 13.6. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just want to say one thing you can tell about his film when he's in the pocket, he's got a little backyard style to him. What I mean is he's back there, he's pedaling left, right, this way, that way, and then he sees one guy, and he just lets it go. And sometimes he's not thinking or seeing the full feel of what's there. And I'm looking at a few of these passes, and it's like, that's dangerous, boss.
Yeah, exactly. He's not reading well. Yeah. You're right. 31 sacks, guys, 20 throwaways, a 19.3 pressure to sack ratio, 4.2 time to throw, incredibly too long. That has to come down drastically. That's not going to work. 28 scrambles, an 86.6 NFL passer rating. So the passer rating is decent, 14th ranked. Now I will say, 8 turnover-worthy passes, only 2 interceptions. So that part's positive. 20 throwaways, 31 sacks, a 4.2 time to throw marker, 28 scrambles, so leaving the pocket. It makes me really want to dive into some of the film and divide this up by games and see what really flustered him. Like, okay, when you're leaving the pocket 28 times on scrambles, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some issue here to where you're fleeing. And let's be real, Pittsburgh's offensive line isn't great, but it's not horrible. I don't know, man. I think there's talent there with Kenny Pickett. I do. I just can't tell how good he is. I have no clue in terms of trying to judge how good this young man's going to be. I think he's a starting level quarterback. I do. I do think he's a starting level quarterback. But, like, I just, there's nothing I see from the deeper analytics in the film yet. And mind you, it's hard to project these guys. Who would have thought Josh Allen was going to be what Josh Allen became? You know what I mean? But I just don't see it yet. I don't see it from his film. I see a guy that could probably be a starter in the league, but saying he's going to be a franchise quarterback, I kind of have to pump the brakes a little bit, short of saying that.
I don't
what are you
even
guys
see.
And see, I was just about to ask you. I'm not saying I felt the same way about Malik Willis, but do the turnovers scare you a little bit? The interceptions in them games, the 3 interceptions in them different games he's been having, they'll scare you a little bit because I heard about his turnover problem, and then I'm like, okay, well, let me see. He transferred. He ended up going to Liberty. I played against Liberty actually for a few years when they were still inside the Big South. I played against Liberty. Very nice stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But Malik Willis, man. First of all, you come from Auburn and you go to Liberty, which is no problem. I mean, people transfer all the time. I would just like to know why, which I'm sure you can find it, but people rave about his character, so I'm sure that wasn't a problem. The biggest thing for me, though, man, is you played against Ole Miss. You had 3 interceptions. And I know it's a talent level difference, and I understand that. And I haven't really got to see him play completely the whole game against Ole Miss. I'm just truly curious why you're at Liberty and you're a quarterback and you're supposed to be a top 10 draft pick. You're supposed to be arguably the best quarterback. You're having games where you're having 3 picks and you're playing against. You had games where, was it Old Dominion? What game did he have 3 picks? One of them was Ole Miss. I'm like, okay. But, I mean, you had 3 picks, 4 picks against teams that wasn't not 4-3. That's not Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen when you have $1 million defensive coordinator coming up to you, showing you all these different concepts with 10 times the athlete? I mean, that has to be noted. Like, once again, if you're on this level, and I feel the same thing about quarterback, kind of, but especially for old linemen, as I noted last time, if you're on that level and you're playing Liberty, which they're not in the Big South anymore, and I know they went up, but they're still not playing SC talent. You can't just be laying goose eggs against some of these teams and be a first rounder to me. Like, I see the talent, but you can't be going out there. I would just.
So let me ask you a question, Caleb.
My kryptonite is.
Do you buy it? Do you buy that he's going in the first round?
Oof, I think so. But you want me to tell you why? And it's not even because of him. It's because of the people picking him. It's not because of him. I feel like if you got enough quarterback gurus and you really sat them down, I feel like the real guru people would say no, just because. I mean, it's literally talent. That's literally why he would, off of purely talent, not even just strictly production. I mean, it's the talent. You see what I'm saying? It's different if he had the talent and he was blowing people out the water. But it's like, man, I don't know. Them 3 picks is just hard to overlook, especially with you playing at Liberty.
Yeah, I mean, look, Malik Willis has all the talent in the world. It's all the way there. Jalen, I'll give you. Go ahead, and then I'll do the numbers on Malik Willis, and we can.
I was going to ask you, do you think it's
Tennessee, Louisiana Monroe, like what?
Do you think it's just how can I say this? You get too comfortable against certain opponents, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and just dial this up, or I'm gonna force this one. I mean, it's only X, Y, Z.
I feel that, but man, like you a ball player. I can see that. That's easier to say reflecting, but if I'm analyzing him and breaking him down, like you can't be doing that. Even if that is the case. You see what I'm saying? Like
it looks bad. It looks bad when you get in the film room on Sunday. But the thing is, in the moment, you're not really worried about it. You're more like, all right, let me see. You know what? I messed up. I'll get the next one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you doing this against Louisiana Monroe. Like, imagine the Bengals. Or imagine, you see what I'm saying? Like, imagine a true NFL defense. Like, you're throwing 3 picks against Louisiana Monroe, like Middle Tennessee State. And once again, I don't have nothing against these schools, and I'm sure they have phenomenal defensive players, but I just know without a doubt who Malik Willis is playing. Like, it's just – and then to go back and Ole Miss is the biggest game, arguably, or probably the best players you're playing against, and you lay a goose egg against them as well. And it's kind of just like,
Sure.
I think it's tricky. Now, when I say goose egg, I mean, of course, I'm kind of probably being a little harsher because, like, just like Jalen Hurts, he's more than just a thrower for his team, clearly. You see what I'm saying? But, I mean, he's going to be playing quarterback. And if we be complaining and saying all these things about Jalen Hurts and his consistency, I would say I would just question some of his consistent decision making, because I mean we see guys that play at Alabama and LSU don't be having games with 3 interceptions, and they play against SEC talent every week, and that's just real.
He struggled against NC State in 2020 as well. I mean, that's where I remember him the most. Caleb was, I got to see him play NC State that year, and mind you, they had a really good team in 2020. And I remember that was the Falwell year, to where, a lot of NC State's alumni didn't. They were pretty ticked off that we were going to take the game. They wanted us to cancel that game, but they were, a legitimate opponent. So, of course, we took the game because of the revenue source and, a chance to gain your standing. But he wasn't very good in that game. I mean, he was pretty bad, to be quite honest. And don't get me wrong, like,
3 picks.
We got a good defense, but it's not that good.
3 picks again against the big team. Now, once again, if you just have the craziest arm talent, I'm not saying, listen, Cam Newton transferred. So I understand there's reasons why. But I'm just curious. I'm truly curious to know, if you went from Auburn, you left Auburn, and then you end up going to Liberty, who was the quarterback at Auburn that you couldn't beat out? I'm not saying that's not the reason, but it's just, and then you transfer, and every big school you play against, you lay a goose egg. It's just, I don't know.
I mean, look, there's some underlying talent to him. I'm going to get into a second. Antonio Holmes, I'm trying to find a comment of yours. If I can find a comment of yours, I'll give you a wrench. But when I'm on my phone, it's harder to find your comments. So just leave another comment again, Antonio, and I got you, man. I'll pull you up and give you a wrench. So let me just go over his numbers real quick, guys. So versus pressure, Malik Willis, 28 of 72, 38.9% completion rate, 513 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 53.2 PFF grade on him. 13 big-time throws, though. That's a 15.7% rate. It's really high. It's incredibly high. 8 turnover-worthy passes, 4.3 rate on that. Average depth of target is 16.3 yards. I mean, he throws it downfield. 8 throwaways, 51 sacks. 51 sacks, guys. Holy crap. Pressure to sack rate, 30.5. 4.63 time to throw. That ain't going to work in the NFL. We all know that.
And how many elite pass rushers was even rushing him? And his regular stuff, that's just real. Like, once again, that's not being hard on him. That's real, though. You see what I'm saying?
44 scrambles and a 59.5 passer rating versus pressure. Now, here's the thing. Anytime I'm looking at a developmental guy, there's something I am looking for, which is I need to see some shots down the field at average depth of target, and I need to see some big time throws from him. Because if not, there's nothing for the defense to fear. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's really nothing for them to fear. You can't read them. You're not particularly good against their pressure, and they're getting home and they're sacking you at a 30.5% rate. But his saving grace is that talent. The fact that he does have a 15.7% big time throw rate versus pressure, which is incredibly high. I mean, that's extremely high. And a 16.3 average depth of target. I want to read you guys one more person here. Josh Allen, 36 and 95.
Exactly what I was thinking.
37.9% completion rate. 507 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a 38.9 PFF grade. 7 big-time throws, which worked its way out to about 7.1%. It's about the average. 12 turnover-worthy passes, 8.8%. It's really high. Like, clearly he was struggling to read defenses, Josh Allen was, senior year of college. Average depth of target, 15.3 yards. We see that again. He's willing to throw the ball down the field. 11 throwaways, 22 sacks, a pressure to sack rate of 17.1%, 3.87 time to throw. I will say this. Don't get me wrong, 3.87 would be like an entirety in the NFL, but for college, like I thought he would have been above 4, Josh Allen personally. So, I mean, that part's pretty decent. Only 12 scrambles. That part kind of, I would have lost money if I bet on that. 58.5 NFL passer rating. I think the things that organizations have to ask themselves about Malik Willis is this. Does this guy have the skill set? Does he have the skill set to eventually become a Josh Allen when the game slows down? right? Or is this Dwayne Haskins? You know what I mean? Like there's several quarterbacks in that group, right? I'm going to be fair, guys. I'm going to be absolutely fair. We're asking that question about Jalen Hurts. Not that if he's Josh Allen, but, can he become that guy, right? Trey Lance is on that list. Can he become that guy? Like, are they Dwayne Haskins, or are they going to be a little bit closer to Josh Allen? No one's going to be Josh Allen because maybe Malik Willis has a shot, but I still think Josh Allen's arm is it's beyond anything that I personally watched. I don't think we're going to see that again for a very, very long time. There's a lot of organizations that are asking themselves this question, and they're looking for that guy. Now, I will say this. I got to preface this because this is a very important point to make. Jalen Hurts ranked 6th versus pressure his senior year in college. He was 56 of 103, 54.4% completion rate, 913 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 68.5 grading from PFF, 3 big-time throws, 2.8% rate, 5 turnover-worthy passes, 3.1% rate there. Average depth of target was 11.7 yards, 12 throwaways, 22 sacks, 14.5% pressure to sack rate, which is actually really good. 4.23 time to throw. We can already see the underlying issues with Jalen going back to senior year. 27 scrambles, leaving the pocket. 105.4 NFL passer rating over his pressure. So, I mean, the talent was there. My biggest concern I had with Jalen, scouting him, like if, watching him at this time, trying to see what he would be in the NFL, I would say the 3 big-time throws concerns me. The 4.23 time to throw mark really concerns me. And then that 27 scrambles would probably tell me he's not hanging in the pocket. With that said, Jalen is way further ahead than Malik Willis coming out of college into the pros. Just to make that known. I mean, we're talking about a guy that finished top 10 versus pressure out of the last 5 draft classes. Like, you know what I mean?
Crazy
Like,
to say that.
To be fair.
Let me hold up. We keep mentioning Jalen Hurts,
Mhm.
but would a better comp really be a more raw version of Fields?
Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Fields.
Because I'm looking at it from the arm talent perspective.
Jalen? I think Fields is a different type of athlete than Jalen. Fields reminds me a little bit something that's a little more closer or something that's
I'm not talking about Jalen. I'm talking about Malik.
Oh, you mean okay.
Yeah.
That's a great question, man. That's a great question. I still feel like he's kind of in that. I still feel like he's in that category of the, the Donovan McNabbs. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of category of quarterback, to be honest with
Which
you.
one?
I still feel like he's in that category of these guys that have they're built physically. They can hit you, they can run, they're strong in the pocket, they can hold up versus pressure. I mean, the dude took 51 sacks, man. I mean, the guy, he's definitely tough as nails. With that said, I do think that he tries to play more from the pocket. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think that he desperately tries to play from the pocket when you watch his film. Now, he's still learning. And when he gets there, yeah, Malik Willis. I still think he
said Malik Willis plays more from the pocket, or Fields plays more from the pocket.
Tries to play from the pocket is the key word, Joe.
Oh, okay.
I think once pressure gets there, he's kind of like Jalen in that sense of like he'll elude the pocket way before he should. But I will say that I think the problem when I looked at trying to judge the film from, see, here's the thing is how lowly graded he was. And I'm not talking about Malik Willis, guys. Justin Fields was really lowly graded versus pressure. Like 20 of 48, guys, 41% completion rate, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now, PFF did give him a grading of 63.9, which is not bad. 6 big-time throws, 11.3%, which is very high. So the percentage probably matters a little more than that number does. 3 turnover-worthy passes, an average depth of target of 10.5 yards, 8 throwaways, 21 sacks, pressure to sack rate, though, 25%. 4.10 time to throw, 15 scrambles, 54.1 NFL passer rating versus pressure. When I watched film last year of Justin Fields, Jalen, the feeling I got from him was he was a little more closer to Colin Kaepernick. He's got an arm. Like, I don't think people understand how good Justin Fields' arm is. And I can see maybe where you're going with that with Malik Willis and Justin Fields both having like incredible arm talent, because Justin Fields' arm is a little underrated. He's got some zip. He can throw the football, but he sees things slowly too. He does. I mean, like he's the 36th ranked guy out of 40. You know what I mean? First pressure coming out. I don't know, guys. I mean, what are your thoughts when you think of guys like when you think of these guys? So when you're thinking about a guy like Justin Fields and you're trying to compare him to like Malik Willis, like how do you lean with that? Like how
I say this.
what would be the things that you would consider in terms of evaluating it?
If I had Jeff Stoutland as the quarterback coach, I'll be excited with upside. But I'm not sure, and this is just me being, it's just with projects like this, and I think this is one of the problems in the league for real, just period, that I'm always saying, that I constantly say all the time, is the fact that I sometimes wonder how are these professional coaches who are supposed to be the best developers in the world, because you're doing on the professional level, NFL level, how some of these players don't develop. Now, I'm not saying it's always on the coach, but I do sometimes question all situations, because some of these guys are just freaks, just pure freaks. And I'm like, man, you can't get them nowhere near the ballpark. You can't get them nowhere near where he need to be. So I think for Malik Willis, the more I've been looking at football this year, this is the more I'm like, where you go truly. I know people know this, but it matters a whole bunch. It matters a whole bunch.
Hey, Caleb.
And I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. How many coaching staffs did you have in college?
3.
Okay, so we in the same boat.
So let me ask a question. I had 2, but 3 different O-line coaches. You see what I'm saying? 2 different staff, 3 different O-line coaches.
Did you ever feel like your growth was stunted under one versus the other?
Oh, without a doubt. When I say significantly, it's to the point where I feel like I might have diminished even some. You see what I'm saying? And to where I have a new coach is night and day. Night and day.
Yep.
I mean, night and day. And that is so, so, so important. And that's the things we don't talk about. I'm being real. That's the things people truly don't talk about. Why are these players in the NFL not being developed? You're a professional coach. You're supposed to be the best developer in the world. Why are these these guys are going to college and looking good in college? Now, don't get me wrong. I know it's another level, but I would just assume some of these guys got to be developed. And I know personally what it's like to have a coach that I'm not even going to say bad coach, but a coach that might not be the best at developing you and your skill set. That is for guys like Malik Willis, that is all talent. That's very important. That's very important, especially with guys that process things slowly or blitz pickups and things with troubles like that. They have to have phenomenal coaches. You have to have a phenomenal coach. You have to. And that's a big thing. I think these teams even need to think about before drafting Malik Willis. Like, hey, is my quarterback coach good enough to handle this? That's a real question. That should be questions that should be asked. Or am I wasting the pick right now?
Yeah.
But sometimes I definitely go ahead, bro.
Like I was about to say. So you know the different types of coaches. You always have that one analytical guy. Sometimes you might have an analytical guy. You might have a guy who's more culture based, meaning just get the job done. And then you have the dude who actually teaches you technique, depending upon your assistant head coaches. But your position coach should be a combination of all 3 of those. And his strengths may not be, developing. It may be scheming and making sure your eyes are where they need to be versus your technique is right. You get what I'm saying? And that's what I always wonder with quarterbacks, linemen, every position out there, because that's something we've experienced. And it's like, okay, how is he supposed to be reading this? You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Big Fish Little Boat with the $5 super chat, man. Appreciate you, buddy. He said, Willis has the abilities you have to gamble on. Treylon Burks is wide receiver 1 for me. I agree with the abilities part, Big Fish. You're right there. I think that he, by far from the guys that I'm looking at, has the most potential growth that can occur. And he also has the highest upside from the physical traits of the player. I think that's undeniable, Big Fish. I think you're right there. Treylon Burks, I like a lot. I mean, I think there's a big debate about wide receiver 1, but I do like the fact that Treylon Burks has played a lot in the slot. He definitely has the size and the physicality to play as a boundary side X-aligned receiver. I definitely think that that's a yak guy. Like that's baby Debo. I will say that I was pleasantly surprised, Big Fish, when I looked at Treylon Burks' film. I thought he was going to be a little bit of an upright runner and maybe a little bit tight in the hips as he tries to separate the top of route stems, and he was way more fluid than I thought he would be, and he's not really an up high runner at all. So kudos to the guy, because that's a 6'2", 6'3", 225-pound guy that he moves like he's 5'10", 185 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you guys a question about sticking to this quarterback conversation here. Malik Willis. So I'll give you guys a little bit more context of what some of the numbers are here. So passes above 20 yards. He's 30 of 71, which is 42.8% completion rate. 1,033 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 96.8 grading from PFF, their own personal, proprietary formula they use. 3.33 time to throw, NFL pass rating of 111.4. He clearly has the arm. He's got the arm to push the ball down the field. That's pretty obvious, right? How much do you value that? Do you guys value that at all? The whole idea of passes over 20 yards and how much it should be paid attention to or viewed?
I think so, definitely. Especially with a guy with his talent, you would like to see how he does throwing the ball deep because he has a cannon. So you would it's almost like having a toy that you can't play with. What's the point of having a guy with a big arm if he never tries it? So I definitely see the importance of it. I feel like it's other things that goes into play, specifically for just Will. I'm just talking about Malik Willis, because even for us, even if we was when I say I'm a fan of Malik Willis, I'm not trying to say it as in he doesn't we don't I'm just totally against him. No, man. If you watch him throw the ball, like I said, he's a shiny toy. So of course you're going to be like, man, you want to be intrigued by him. But I feel like if he was to go to a place where he can sit maybe for 2 years and really be developed, that would be beautiful. I just feel like with his talent and everybody gloating about him, he's not going to have the time to do that. Wherever he end up at, I feel like they're going to want him to hop out day one and get it going. And I just don't. I feel like he has enough question marks to assume that. Does that make sense? I'm not expecting him to be a day one starter.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't expect him to be a day one starter either, because I think he has so much to learn about reading coverage, to be quite honest. He probably would be one of those guys that would benefit from being inside of an NFL film room, being behind a guy that, is being in there, being coached hard in terms of what's being seen, what's happening in terms of the game situations, and getting a chance to run those mental reps before doing it physically. At the end of the day, though, there does come a time where, I'll give you an example, Jordan Love. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you got to get on the field. There's only so much you can learn from the film room, but you're certainly going to learn a heck of a lot more by actually being on the football field. And this brings me to my next point, gentlemen. The number 40th ranked quarterback from the past 5 draft, including this draft class, the last 5 draft classes, versus pressure, Jordan Love, 40th out of 40. 42 of 109, 38.5%, 619 yards, 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 49.2 independent grading from PFF, 8 big-time throws. So there's some big-time throw, possibility there. 6.8% on that. 11 turnover-worthy passes, 7.2%. He clearly makes mistakes with the football at times. Average depth of target, 14.5 yards. He'll push the ball down the field. 6 throwaways, 23 sacks. Pressure to sack percentage, 15.9. That's not bad. It's actually pretty good. 3.78 time to throw. Like a lot of these young men, got to be faster at processing. 13 scrambles, 47.2 NFL passer rating versus pressure. 40th ranked guy in terms of the passer rating versus pressure coming out of the draft. He's been in the league a couple of years now, Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers might be leaving. What do you guys think about Jordan Love?
I think he probably won't be Aaron Rodgers, but I think he'll be, more power to him.
That's a safe bet.
That's a very safe bet.
Yeah.
But I can say it is, like I said, man, Green Bay has professional developers. And if Jordan Love is a professional, he treats his crap like a professional, I'm sure whoever's developing him had 3 years with him, he should be significantly better than what he was coming in out of college. But now, don't get me wrong, there's no greater teacher than experience. And as a ball player, you know that. There's no greater experience. There's no greater teacher than experience. You just can't beat it. There's no other way besides it.
Sure.
But I'm telling you,
I can tell you how to get punched in the mouth. I can tell you what being punched in the mouth feels like. Don't mean you know what it feels like.
Facts. And if he was picking up blitzes like that, I wonder what it's going to be like when the guns start blazing at him on the. But if he's been developed and coached, I'm sure he'll be ready for it.
This is a really good comment. Alex said, facts about asking yourself, if you had the staff to develop Willis, but be honest, how many teams are going to admit they don't have the guys to coach him up? It's very truthful.
Not many.
Yeah, you're right.
Not many. Like, guys, how many times have we watched football games and we said, what in the world? That's real. I've been telling guys all the time, trust your eyes, man. Just because you see them out there on Sundays doesn't mean the mind is any different. Trust your eyes. Some things just shouldn't be going on. And we've been seeing coaches, not saying get by, but it's just like there's no way. There's no way on this level. Now, what? Maybe the character of the guy, or maybe we misjudged the football in the guy. But I just find it hard to believe these professional athletes who are supposed to be grown men are struggling to even. I mean, it'd be kind of embarrassing sometimes. I'm like, there's no way a 5-star athlete looks like this.
Sure. See, and here's the thing. You know, you get into these conversations about guys like Jordan Love. You know, we're talking about sitting Malik Willis, and at a certain point, you got to get on the field and you got to see if there's anything there. The greatest experience is on the field learning. You know, I look at another guy, Matt Corral, who I think is incredibly talented. I think there is talent behind Matt Corral. He's another guy that when you break it down by when pressure's in his face, how does he perform? He's 38th out of 40. Guys I broke down, you know, it's concerning because I definitely think Matt Corral with the right coaching staff could be something special. Got to be with the right group of guys. And his numbers versus pressure are 36 of 84, 42.9%, 445 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's got a 37 independent grading from PFF. 3 big-time throws, which that's shocking. I thought Matt Corral would have more big-time throws than that for pressure. 6 turnover-worthy passes. 8.8 average depth of target. That feels like a guy that's being told where to go with the football when there's pressure. Because he's not taking any chances, really, with an 8.8 marker. Throwaways 15, 21 sacks, 15.4 pressure to sack rate. He's clearly hard to bring down. I'll give him that. He's got to be doing something right here because they're not converting a lot of the pressure into sacks. 3.5 time to throw, which, like I said, you know, for a young guy in college, pretty impressive numbers, actually. That would never work in the NFL to get you killed at 3.5 seconds. But nonetheless, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's respectable coming from the college game. You don't have to bring him down that far to be there. 29 scrambles, so he does leave the pocket clearly. A 48 NFL passer rating versus pressure. I really like Matt Corral, man. I like the underlying talent here with Matt Corral. I do think with the right coaching staff, there's something here with this young man. He's been injured a lot. He's not particularly good versus pressure. I like him. I just don't know where to place him. And like, look, passes over 20 yards, guys. And I know we said that it's not really a stat that should be overly valued, but I mean, he's 21 of 52, 40.4%, 799 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 3.3 time to throw, an NFL pass rating of 103.4, and an independent grade from PFF of 90.4. I mean, I definitely think there's something here with Matt Corral. I just don't know that it's ready for the NFL come week 1 of the 2022 season. What are your thoughts when you get these young men that are clearly in highly scripted offenses?
I can't stand it a little bit. I guess because as a center, you're taught, or if you, I'm gonna say at least from my view, for me, you're taught to once you go to a line of scrimmage, look at the defense, look at the safety alignment, look at the linebacker alignment. You're taught to, and if you're a good center, you are given free range to adjust your line into better predicament.
100%.
According to that. If I can't, I just feel as if as a lineman, I treat stuff so differently. Like, is that not part of the job as quarterback to be able to? Like, on a professional level. You see what I'm saying? And if I know, I almost get back to, I'm just wondering, who are these guys? Who is he watching? Who are these people watching film with? Who are the people they're really like saying, this is where your eyes need to be, this is how you do it? Because once again, it goes back to development. Like, yes, that is very important to me. I don't want a quarterback that I have to tell what to do every single play. I'm just being real. If I'm paying you $40 million, or if that's the end goal, you being that guy, you best believe if it's in 2-minute offense, you know what sets to put us in. And you best believe when you see these safeties and linemen and these defenses, you know what formations we need to be in. Tom Brady made a quote, man, that I told my business partner about today that stuck with me. And I told him that it stuck with me. Tom Brady said he doesn't ask for the ball till he know where he's going to put the ball. And that is, and I feel like that is very, very underrated, because all these offensive coordinators and stuff, I feel like maybe get the big head a little bit. Almost feel like I guess they can out scheme the mind, but it's going to come a time and place where the guy that you pay $40 million to going to have to be able to do it himself. And I feel like that's going away a little bit. You hear people constantly listen to the headsets and looking left. Constantly listening to headsets and looking left. It's like, my goodness. When are you you don't know what formation to get y'all in yet, buddy? You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying, once again, I'm not a quarterback, so I can't come up here acting like it's the easiest thing. I just know that's part of the job. That's all I know.
Well, I mean, look, go back to McVay and the whole situation he had there where he was calling in plays. He's basically telling his quarterback what to do.
Every single time. And
Jared Goff.
With Matthew Stafford, that's the biggest difference. Does Jared Goff hit that walk-off home run? When he's seen that safety cheating outside, does Jared Goff see that and does he hit that? I'm not saying he doesn't. Probably not. But you see what I'm saying now? Matthew Stafford seen it. Matthew Stafford probably knew that's where he was going with the ball at the time he seen the safety feet moving over to the left right before the snap. He knew, okay, that's definitely a blitz. The blitz coming from this side, the safety going to have Cooper Kupp. He knew the time it happened, he probably knew it. I don't know Jared Goff is processing it that fast.
Yeah. There was one prospect, guys. There was one prospect I came away with. I was very pleasantly surprised by their film and pleasantly surprised by the underlying analytics. And I'm not saying this is a first-round talent. I don't think the Eagles should be anywhere near this player at that round valuation. Desmond Ridder, Cincinnati. I don't love the arm talent. I don't know that he's, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if the arm talent's like super great. He's tough. He hangs in the pocket, man. He'll try to make the throw. I respect the crap out of him for that, because, I mean, he'll really hang in the pocket and take a hit. Versus pressure. I mean, Desmond Ridder's numbers, 27 to 63, 42.9 completion rate, 522 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 62 independent grade by PFF, 5 big time throws, which is 7.5%. Decent number. 4 turnover-worthy passes, 3.8%. He does make mistakes. I think sometimes his eyes, I think he gets a little heavy with his eyes. Average depth of target is 14.6 yards. His throwaways are 7, 27 sacks, 26.7 pressure to sack ratio. I respect the kid's toughness, man, but like there's times where he needs to get the ball out of his hands or get out of the pocket. Come on, man. Don't get yourself killed this way. 3.46 time to throw, which 3.46 at this level is very respectable. Like he does, obviously that will get you killed in the NFL as well, but you don't have that far to move him along. 11 scrambles, so he's not immediately leaving the pocket clearly. A 90.8 NFL passer rating versus pressure. He's 11th ranked guy out of the last, 5 draft classes, including this current one. He's 11th ranked guy out of the 40 players I broke down. Versus pressure, I mean, there's respect here with this guy. Then, you look at, can he throw the deep ball? Like I said, I question his arm strength a little bit. I'm gonna be honest, gentlemen, but he's 33 of 73, 45.2%, 1,118 yards, 14 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, guys. 0 interceptions. At 96 independent grading. Exactly. 96 independent grading from PFF. 2.84 time to throw on passes over 20 yards. I like that mark a lot. Yeah, I like that mark a lot. He's got an NFL passer rating of 131.4 on passes over 20 yards. I like Desmond Ridder. I do. I really like Desmond Ridder. This is a guy that I don't know if I like him for Philly per se, but he's definitely a guy that I'm going to watch in the league to just see if that's the type of prospect that teams should be looking for in the value charts of draft classes, because the film, there's some things about his film where, like I said, I don't think the arm strength is the greatest. I do think he can get kind of guilty of staring a guy down. There were some times where he was just basically, hey, Alex Pierce, go catch this football. It was quite obvious what he was doing. It was very reminiscent of the old Brady to Randy Moss days, where just throw it into triple coverage and just hope that guy comes down with it. But I do love the moxie of the guy. I love the fact that he'll stand in there and, he'll throw the football, he'll take a hit. He's got to get faster processing, no doubt, versus pressure, but he certainly has a much shorter way to go than some of these other prospects do. We got plenty of dudes on this chart that are over 4 seconds on their time to throw. Kenny Pickett, first pressure. What do you guys? Did you guys ever get a chance to really watch Cincinnati this year?
I seen him a little bit. Let me tell you what I thought about him. This is when I went back to the whole. Remember when I was speaking with you a little bit about what do I feel like we should do at quarterback, and whether we should draft a quarterback or get one in free agency. One thing I can say, and if Huey is trying to be what he said he's trying to be with being quarterback you, I'm gonna just say it like that, quarterback you. If that is the goal, I don't see how, with the way Jalen Hurts play, if you don't get somebody in free agency, you don't get a guy like that maybe you can get in the second, third round and put him back up and let him develop and see maybe if he can turn out to be the guy that you hope he be. And maybe that can be an outlet for you as well. I feel like maybe him, that would be the perfect type of person for it. Like somebody that we don't have to use a first round grade on, most maybe possibly. You see what I'm saying? We might even get him late second. Not late second, but might get him day 2 for sure. Maybe even round 3. I don't know about that, but that would be definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Like the round valuation always matters, right? Like, there's certainly round valuation to where it becomes a really bad pick. Clearly, you know what I mean?
Does it trouble you he misses quite a bit of routine throws?
Yeah, of course, Joe. Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because go ahead. The reason why I'm saying that, I'm watching him play right now. Only time I saw him play was against Georgia.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the best film to go after. But
I think
I'm looking at him right now.
He's gonna be like in the league.
But I got to figure out where that baseline is. I definitely get what you're saying, though. See, I got to see what. So my thing is, I'm looking at him. He is missing just basic throws, little screens here and there. It's really every once in a while he'll pop one for like 14. Not 14. He'll pop one for like 25. But it's really the underneath. Somebody else, makes it happen. And out of all the quarterbacks we talked about, he's the only one that's tall. I'm seeing too, because everybody else was what, like 6 foot, 6'1" ish.
Here's your comment right here. Dank said, and I'll read it the correct way you meant to say it, Dank. I can't unsee Carson Wentz when I watch Ridder. There's an element of truth to that. He's not the same physical specimen that Carson is, and he doesn't have Carson's arm, but the missing routine pass stuff. The moxie of hanging in the pocket probably longer than he should and taking those big hits when it's unnecessary. But every now and then you do see the magic. You see the magic like you saw with Wentz. You see the magic with Ridder every now and then on his film. But for a guy that you're going to take, like I'm thinking like guys like 3rd round and beyond, like going into the 4th round, that kind of area. If a guy like Desmond Ridder is standing there, like I don't know that you're going to find a lot of better upside guys, you know what I mean, in a draft class per se,
at that
round evaluation. Like he's not Thorson. Like I don't know what the Eagles saw in Thorson. Still have no clue what they were doing with that pick. But yeah,
didn't they want Skip Bob from North Dakota State?
Skip Bob. Which one?
It was the year we drafted Thorson. Like he went like a pick before to San Diego. I think it was San Diego.
Yeah.
I forgot the guy's name.
And I think, my bad.
What?
My bad. I'm just looking at this. I would say like this: Gardner Minshew got any value. If we can get any picks from Gardner Minshew, get rid of Minshew, and if Ridder's there at the 4th round, I'm fine with that. But I don't 3rd, 4th round. That'd be cool, something like that. What I mean by that, and I mean that for any team. Like you get a guy like him, and you let him. I mean, I feel like it shows something. But if anybody in the front office says they think it's Carson Wentz, the whole entire organization needs to run. If anybody feels like that,
yeah, the arm talent's not there to be Wentz. It's not. But
yeah,
if they see some of the cons,
hey man, he got them wacky feet like him too, man. I'm looking at it right now.
You don't like when quarterbacks pigeon toe? Try to throw across their bodies across the field?
Oh no, I'm not talking about the throwing motion. I'm talking about when he trying to get out of something, them feet go crazy.
Yeah, a lot of quarterbacks do that when they get panicked. So Carson Strong, gentlemen, because I see a lot of people in the chat. No quarterbacks named Carson. Alex says I went into Carson Strong. That's funny, bro.
Which one is Carson Strong? From Nevada?
Nevada.
Oh, that's Eli.
Listen, Carson's good, but I came away a little down. I thought he was something that he wasn't, and that's my fault because that's where you get in trouble when you don't watch 8 games on a dude. You watch 1 or 2 of the wrong games, you can come away with a complete wrong impression of what they are. And I watched a couple games where he was pushing the ball down the field quite a bit. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like this dude's a big arm quarterback. This is what this dude is. Well, truth be told, no, he's not. Like, he's a big arm quarterback. He's got the arm talent. That ain't his issue. But just basic markers, guys. Passes under 2.5 seconds, 311 passes. Passes over 2.5 seconds, 224. Time to throw on all passing attempts, 2.5 seconds. Versus pressure. Let's take a look at his pressure number. 3.49 seconds, almost a full second longer on his time to throw versus pressure. Carson Strong seems like a really good fit for Pittsburgh. I'm not going to lie. He'll fit that offense perfectly and what they want to do. He's got the arm. You know what I mean? He's got the size. The only bad thing is, well, maybe it's a good thing. They seem to like quarterbacks with a ton of injuries, like, Ben Roethlisberger. He's got the knee concern. I like Carson Strong. He's certainly different than what I thought the film would be. The analytics in the film made me pause of what I thought about him. Accuracy, sometimes, man, he's really on point at times. Like, he looks dominant from the ball placement at times. And then there's other times where it's like, what the heck is that? His deep ball is all over the place, guys. The passes over 20 yards with him can be really hit or miss. And I would say that probably zoom outward a little bit and say anything over like 25, 30 yards. It gets, I think like in breaking routes, like a dig route, like a deep dig, I think he's good at throwing those with good anticipation and good timing. But I'm not sold on some of the other metrics I see here. I mean, look, he gets the ball out fast. I mean, 34-75 passes over 20 yards, guys. 34-75, 45.3% completion rate, 1,180 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a 94.4 independent grade from PFF, 2.91 time to throw on passes over 20 yards, which is very good. That's a standard marker you would expect, from the NFL, somewhere around that area. And NFL pass rating of 98.2. He's decent. It's not bad. Those aren't bad markers. But I don't know, guys. I just thought like I was going to come watch this dude's film and, I saw a couple of games of his and then like I heard all the things they were saying about like the targets he has there. He's got that huge tight end that used to be a receiver who's like a legitimate huge receiving target. They got Romeo Doubs over there who's a really good football player. He was more of a timing and rhythm quarterback than I anticipated. I guess I don't know. Timing and rhythm, guys. So what I mean by that is like timing and rhythm means that you're really playing on progression reads, and then you're generally speaking, you're normally in a 3 to 5 step read. So you're going to hit your rhythm step either on the 3rd or the 5th step, and then depending on where that step is, would pretty much depend upon where the route. 3 steps, you're probably looking at out routes, hitches, short developing routes. 5 steps, you're looking at probably a little bit more of like an over route, those kind of things, mid developing routes. He's more of a rhythm thrower than I thought, guys. Did you know that about him? Did I miss the bus on this from somehow? Did you guys know he was a more of a rhythm thrower than like one of these huge armed quarterbacks that's just throwing the ball down the field 30 times a game?
I can kind of notice that at times now because I'm watching them again now, and I noticed that. I noticed that the first time, even when it comes to people like this, and that's when I'm telling people that all 22 is gold. That's why it's so important because you really have to, especially when it comes to quarterback, man. You really got to watch almost all of them just to really get a true taste of it. And I feel
Sure.
like he has the potential to be a good one as well. The biggest thing, if anybody gonna take away from me from this one is development. A lot of these we see quarterbacks all the time. Like Josh Allen is the perfect example of people going from nothing to something. I'm not saying he's nothing like that, but I know it seems like I keep repeating myself, but that is very true. And I feel like that's very true for even this quarterback class. A lot of people saying they don't see the guy there, and I'm like, I feel you, but I mean, I definitely feel like a few quarterbacks might shock us this draft. To be honest with you, I definitely feel like, and I feel like it's going to be like Ridder and guys like him that might. I know it sounds crazy, Carson Strong, but those would be the type of guys I feel like might surprise us towards the end of it. Because, like you said, man, like it's some games of him looking pretty good.
There is. There really is. Yeah. The thing I came away the most disappointed about, to be honest, Caleb and Jalen, is I saw the pressure coming, right? I went in there, I tracked everything. I tracked all the numbers. I went to go see the games where he faced the most pressure, and I rolled the tape. And I'm like, all right, here we come. Pressure's coming. Let's go. Let's go. Get the ball down the field to Dubs. Let's go. Nothing. 2 big-time throws versus pressure. 2. This dude has all the arm talent in the world.
Well, you would think he would be sending it downfield. You would think he would be sending it downfield.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know what I mean? I'm like, here we go. Here comes the pressure. Let's go. Burn them.
Especially if you know where the blitz is coming from. If you know where the blitz is coming from, you know where the gaps is going to be. You would assume that he would be taking the shots. You see what I'm saying? And that's when one thing you gave me, Coach Steve. I'm telling you. Let me tell you one thing you gave me. When you were telling me about the time and the pressures and the blitz, that really do shows and that really does tell about how the quarterback might struggle to process things and with processing. Because I'm telling you, some of these blitzes, and once again in colleges, you have a whole week and you know all the different blitzes, and you should know the blitz keys. So if I have a big arm, I'm thinking, man, if I know where the pressure's coming from and I know where the hit's going to be at, I'm taking them chances. Because that's the easiest way to get pressure off of you, too. You hit them blitzes in the mouth or not, them coaches ain't going to call it no more. They're not calling them blitzes anymore. And it's kind of like
he's not mobile, Caleb. I really wish that Carson Strong had more mobility to him.
He's a
obviously
statue.
They have Trey Lance. They have Trey Lance in San Francisco, so I mean, obviously they're not going Carson Strong, But I would love to see him in a system where they utilize a lot of yak. So like Tennessee, where they got Brown out there. You know what I mean? Guys that can really get you some yak yards after the catch stuff. I would love to see him in that type of system. Pittsburgh has the guys. I just don't think they got the offensive line to keep him up right now.
That's very important. But
I definitely think he would fit their system. And that, the guys that got there at receiver, they might be losing some, but they do got they're pretty good at identifying talent receiver. I mean, I'll give Pittsburgh that. They're not worried about losing dudes because they know they can go pretty much and replace them every couple of years. They're really good at plucking talent out of the draft at the receiver position. I guess they're the receiver whisperers as we are to the offensive line whisperers.
Shout out to Stout. That's Stout we trust.
In Stout we trust, exactly.
Yes, that is a true statement.
I liked Carson Strong. I did, and I do think I think you're right, Jalen, that if he's in the right situation, he might be that prospect where everybody goes, how did people miss on this guy? How is this dude missed? I just worry about that knee. I worry about the knee. Is it bone to bone or, what's going on with this knee? And like, I didn't hear anything about it in the way the draft works, man. You never hear this stuff. Then all of a sudden one day, all this information gets leaked. I don't know how they do it. I mean, I'm assuming that teams start to interact with the guys when they officially declare for the draft. And then I guess they start pulling medical records, I'm assuming. Because it's funny how this stuff leaks like this every year.
I mean,
think about Owuzu, the Notre Dame linebacker, and the heart condition that sunk him down to the second round.
JOK.
Yeah, JOK. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, It seems like these dudes, like their stats must be on point, man. I'm trying to think. Did we miss anybody that's major to talk about, guys? Let's see. We talked about Sam Howell, right? Because you guys were asking about like UNC quarterbacks.
Did we cover Sam Howell?
I think we did. I'll go over his numbers again. So he ranks 18th versus pressure out of the last 40 players from the last 5 draft classes, counting this one. 33 of 75, 44% completion rate, 561 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 49.1 independent grade, 6 big-time throws, 7.1%, 8 turnover-worthy passes, 4.1%, an average depth of target of 15 yards. Sam Howell pushed the ball down the field, no doubt about it. 11 throwaways, 49 sacks, guys. 49. 31.8 pressure to sack rate. I think I heard them say that he had 1,000 yards rushing on the season. I don't think it was designed. I think he was just running for his life. 3.82 time to throw. Sam knows better than that, man. He's got to be faster than that. 31 scrambles. He's leaving the pocket, clearly, because that offensive line is shaky. And then an 83.3 NFL passer rating versus pressure. Decent passer rating. Probably not where you need to be a solidified first-round pick, to where it's just outright clear you're going to be a first-round pick. But I want to remind people, you know what name I haven't mentioned to you guys? Patrick Mahomes, because he ranked 27th versus pressure coming out. Patrick Mahomes is 86 at 194, 44.3% completion rate, 1,556 yards. There's underlying data if you always look. 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 63.6 independent passer rating given to him. Passing grade, I should say, from PFF. 24 big-time throws, which is 11.6 marker. 20 turnover-worthy passes, 7.5. He's always kind of had a problem versus pressure, to be honest. 15.9 average depth of target. He pushes the ball down the field, 34 throwaways, 25 sacks. Look, underlying number here that I think is really important about Patrick Mahomes and why he was able to develop, 10.2 pressure to sack rate. That's really good. That's a really good number. People don't get home versus him very often. And when they do, we've seen what happened. 3.8 time to throw. So he was definitely one of those dudes that needed to bring that number down, definitely in the pros. 26 scrambles. He was leaving the pocket, guys. 71.6 NFL passer rating his senior year, coming out of college into the pros. His numbers are, obviously his big time throws, and some of the other average, big time throws is where I really see his, the yardage and the big time throws is what really distinguishes him from Sam Howell. Sam Howell's not that productive, but you can see some of the numbers. Average depth of target's very similar. I will say that Sam Howell's getting put on the ground a lot, though. He's getting sacked a lot. That's not something you saw with Patrick Mahomes. And I wonder, with a guy like Sam Howell who has a great arm, it's not an issue of arm talent with Sam Howell.
Yeah, because he slings it. My goodness, he's watching him now.
Yeah, I know. I've known about Sam Howell for a long time.
My thing is, Sam Howell looks the most. I've never
personally coached him, but I know people that have.
He looks good throwing that thing, though. My goodness, when that thing leaves his hand, it looks pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my thing is, Sam Howell looks the most. I'm comfortable but smooth. If that makes any sense to you. So he actually feels like he's done it before. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Even though he's been on the ground, it looks like, okay, you go ahead and you bust the coverage, I'm exploiting it, Yeah. And from time to time with the offense that they had, because it was very, at times it was with a lot of RPO type stuff. Sure. Hit here, hit there. Then when you allowed him to actually go ahead and open up, he actually, how can I say this? He didn't look so bad. It's just the results look bad. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
I didn't know he was that short.
Do you know whose numbers are very similar to, except for one big exception? His numbers are eerily similar to Trevor Lawrence's, except for 2 huge exceptions. Trevor Lawrence did not get put down on the ground as much because he had Clemson's offensive line. 13 sacks, 14.6 pressure to sack ratio, which is very respectable. It's about what Jalen Hurts' was. And Trevor Lawrence had a 3.24 time to throw versus pressure, while Sam got put down 49 times, 31.8 pressure to sack percentage, and a 3.82 time to throw. But their numbers are very similar, Howell and Trevor Lawrence. As a matter of fact, Trevor Lawrence had an 84.8 NFL passer rating versus pressure, and Sam Howell had an 83.3 NFL passer rating versus pressure. That's why, look, I think that there's talent with Trevor Lawrence, but I thought he was a little overhyped as the number 1 pick last year.
Yeah,
I did too.
I definitely think there's talent. He's got tremendous arm talent.
because they deemed him like the next Andrew Luck, but Andrew Luck, you got to understand, Andrew Luck was a head and shoulders above anybody else I'd ever seen in college as a quarterback.
Jalen, you remember I got killed for putting out that stat about turnover-worthy passes. I was talking about how everybody was killing all these other prospects for turnover-worthy passes, and lo and behold, who's hovering above 3% on turnover-worthy passes? None other than Trevor Lawrence, and no one was talking about it. Like, well, he doesn't throw that many picks. It's because he's getting away with it.
Yeah. His last year did not look pretty at Clemson. I told everybody that. I don't care what you're saying. I watched it myself. He did not look like he didn't play his production, and his play did not consistently look like he was the best, the number one thing smoking. I just didn't. And it's not, once again, now, of course, he's developed. I mean, I'm sure he'll be a stud.
It's similar to what they said. Remember when who was the quarterback? Sam Darnold and what the heck is it? Josh Rosen had that
Rosen.
There was a great Rose Bowl.
Oh
my God, these guys are just next level. They had a real exciting game. You watch next year's tape or the tape of that year, not so much. You know what I'm saying?
Josh Rosen versus pressure. 53 of 113, 46.9% completion rate, 768 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 60 passer, the way that PFF graded him. 10 big-time throws. So there were some big-time throws with Josh Rosen for 8.2%, 9 turnover-worthy passes. The flip side of it, you put the ball in harm's way. A 9 average depth of target. Wasn't necessarily pushing the ball downfield. 14 throwaways, 25 sacks, a pressure to sack rate of 17.5, which is it's not bad. It's under 20%. 3.22 time to throw. So, for a young guy versus pressure, he was getting the ball out of his hands. 5 scrambles, not a lot of mobility. 67.3 NFL passer rating. He was basically just below Davis Webb and just above Bailey Zapp. Versus pressure. Bailey Zapp. He's the kid from Western Kentucky. I think his name's actually Zappy. I think I'm saying it wrong, but he's a young quarterback from Western Kentucky, I believe, who transferred in from some small Texas school to Western Kentucky and has like video game level numbers. Man, I'm not even kidding. It's like video game level numbers, dude. It's nuts. Hang on, let me find it. Here you go. Look.
Like Lamar Jackson.
Listen, man, 691 attempts on the year, 475 completions, a 68.7% completion rate. And if you do the adjusted completion rate, it's 77.3. 5,940 yards, guys. 62 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. This is straight up video game numbers, man. 87.4, grade given to him by PFF. 48 big-time throws on the season. 24 turnover-worthy passes. Average depth of target was only 8.6 yards, and yet he put up 62 touchdowns. It's nuts. Let's see. He got sacked 15 times. Pressure to sack rate 16.5%. Time to throw 2.47 seconds. 448 passes on the season under 2.5 seconds. 242 above 2.5 seconds. Almost 2 to 1. He's another guy that, Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense. Those fast developing systems? Those are video game numbers, though.
You want to talk about video game numbers? I had a chance when I was, how can I say this? I had my official visit to JMU. ODU was playing them. What's the dude name? Quarterback for the Heineke.
Yeah, dang. Chris
Heineke was a video game out there.
Schuler Bentley was behind him, I think. I played against a dude named Schuler Bentley that went to Burns High School. Schuler I'm pretty sure he transferred to Old Dominion. I think he was behind Heineke.
See, that's the thing. I was committed at the time. I was committed to JMU. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, it was a crazy story, but the quarterback at JMU ended up being my quarterback at Virginia State, all over some crazy stuff. It's just funny how everything, came full circle. But yeah, Heineke was was crazy. Like 800. I think he had like 800 yards in a game against Citadel. Yeah, that was crazy to me. I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi, whatever his name is. He's definitely an interesting guy. He's an interesting guy to watch film on. There's no doubt about it. All right, guys, let's round this out and let's talk a little bit. We know what the elephant in the room is. I can't say what Howie's going to do. I have no clue, gentlemen. I have absolutely no idea what Howie Roseman's going to do here. I thought that going out of that press conference, it seemed like to me as if he said, to my ears, it sounded like he said, if the right veteran comes available, I'm probably going to make a trade. But he seemed to be pretty lukewarm on the draft, as if he'd probably avoid the draft. However, I got to be honest, man. He started hovering around Malik Willis at the Senior Bowl.
Oh, boy.
That guy's got a tremendous ceiling. But he's not ready to jump on the football field yet, in my opinion. I don't think he's quite ready yet. What do you think happens, guys? Do you think they're sticking with Hurts, or do you think they're gonna trade for a veteran, or do you think they're gonna draft one of these young quarterbacks early?
You're sticking with Hurts.
Sticking with Hurts?
Yeah.
I don't think
it's not even a question.
I think he should. I just don't know. I don't know. I think he should.
The reason why I'm saying they're going to stick with Hurts is because if you look at the cap situation for the next 2 years, like it's nothing but dead money on there. You get what I'm saying? And if we bring in another big salary in to compete, we can't buy any veterans. So everything else is going to be placed on the draft. Now, Howie has been hit and miss in the draft. So, in my personal opinion, he's been more missed than he has been hit. You get what I'm saying? But just right now, he's on a hot streak.
Yeah.
And, the blame gets shifted quite easily. When you got how can I say, you can have a bunch of excuses when you have a bunch of young players. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying Howie's not going to go for one of these top end guys yet. But in like a year or two, that's a different story. Depending upon Jalen's, progression and everything like that.
I think Jalen got this
because
he only got this year. I think Jalen
said this year.
I think in Huey mind, if that is the route we taking, he only got 1 year. He got this year, and if it ain't this year, he definitely ain't staying. And when I say what I mean by staying, like I don't mean as if they'll probably get rid of him. Like he might be the backup, or whatever, but as in the chance to be the guy, he has to show out this year if he does play. He has
as in 2022.
Yeah, this season coming up.
Yeah. That's why I say this is. And personally, it's supposed to be in a 2-year process anyway. So 1 year, let Jalen Hurts get his feet wet, let him figure things out, let him actually, get a taste of real NFL life. I know he had 4 games the year before, but the thing is, that's not enough to sit there and say, okay, defense has adjusted to me. Okay, now they're coming off this. Now they're doing that. Oh man, now I have this to add to my, my trick bag. Oh, they took that away from my trick bag. What's next? You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. All that stuff is the ups and downs of a season. That's for him. Personally, I saw that is this year. I didn't care how he did this year. Don't get me wrong. If he was Nathan Peterman, that's a different story. But he wasn't. But you just give him that year. Let him figure it out. Now the real true evaluation year is here. So you kind of have a feeling of where his ceiling and his floor is. But this year you're going to have to really show what is your floor, which you can consistently be. You get what I'm saying? Hope that makes sense.
He got to hit that deep ball consistently. He got to.
Yeah.
And and I say that only because of the type of style I feel like we would have to play with him. You see what I'm saying? With the type of football we'll have to play with him, with them deep ball opportunities, because it's going to be there. They're going to be.
You got to understand if they
load that box,
packing
they're
the
gonna be
if
there.
they packing the box, it's one-on-one opportunity somewhere.
It's going to be there. It's going to be there.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
once again, I'm not in the quarterback room. I don't know where he is told to put the ball. I don't know where he is told to put his eyes at. I'm not completely sure on that. But I can say this. I feel as if they see a shiny toy. I don't know. I really, truly don't know, because we have to remember we got Jalen Hurts a couple of years ago, and everybody in America thought Carson Wentz was the quarterback for Philly. I'm not saying they thought he was going to be elite, but everybody at least thought Carson Wentz was the guy to be the quarterback there at Philly. So if we drafted a quarterback in that situation, I'm pretty sure we have no problem picking a quarterback with Jalen Hurts as a quarterback.
It's very true. I mean, to be fair, Carson did lift that team on his back. Look, it was a bad schedule. Same argument with Hurts. It was a bad schedule down the stretch, no doubt about it. But he did pick that team up, practice squad guys, and elevated them. Got knocked out of the playoff game, and then, what happened. Dante said, appreciate the $5 super chat. Dante, thank you, buddy. He said, do you think the hiring process needs to change? We talked about Stoutland and the gap on player development under coaches. What's wrong with the system? Dante, there's a lot wrong with the hiring system of the NFL, man. I've said it under my breath several times. I've insinuated that you've heard me say this before, Dante. The most knowledgeable person and the best coach doesn't always get a position. I normally talk about it in terms of the politics of high school football and even going into college, but clearly it permeates, it goes all the way up to the NFL. And it's who you know. It's who you know. And we're not going to change some of the things I know that you're talking about, Dante, without, we got a few guys that are coming in as minority candidates in the front office as GMs, but without ownerships and without more of those guys in those positions, I just don't know that you're going to get a lot of guys that are going to come across as head coaches. I mean, look at the last two hiring cycles. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of these crazy things, because I don't think people are necessarily, some people are probably doing it consciously. I do think some people are, but I don't think the majority of people are doing it consciously, but it's nonetheless, it's happening. Go ahead, Caleb. What were you going to say?
When it comes to the coaching thing and the whole development and everything like that, man, when I tell you this whole season, I feel like I looked into it more than I ever have before, because this is my first year really starting to question some of these guys. Like, okay, usually you're told to treat coaches in the NFL like they just know everything. And at the end of the day, you're always told, well, he's a coach, so maybe he has something up. And I feel as if what I learned more this year, more than ever, is that there's a lot of coaches that genuinely don't know football for real. If we're being honest, like when I say don't know football, I mean well enough to be a professional developer on the NFL level. You see what I'm saying? To be able to explain things better than the elite people in the NFL. They should at least be able to do that. And I don't think everybody are able to do that directly because of the hires. Like what they said on Inside the Birds, and that one time when they was talking about how the interesting guy had told him that one time a GM had spoke with him and said, how out of 200 coaches, probably only 100 know football for real. The other 100 just lied on their resume or got in through a homie, got in through a friend, and it's just kind of
1,000%.
And that's crazy.
I think we've all been there. I think, Caleb, I think we've all been there before, where you've either had someone on the coaching staff that's directly coaching you, or you've worked with a guy that
there's no way.
Excuse my French, they didn't know shit.
Nothing. Nada.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And if you question them, you're wrong, because that's the coach. And at the end of the day, whoever hired them, you would think whoever hired them has the knowledge to know, like, another thing we have to think about, these people that are hiring these coaches themselves, even on the college level, might not even know the coaches to look for, because they don't know football. And it goes all the way down into the high school level as well. It's the same thing. They don't know who to hire. They're just hiring the friend that they go get drinks with at the bar all the time that they know was a good dude. They don't really know the X's and O's of football. And that's just the real of the real. And it's trickling down, and it even happens in the NFL. It's just the fact that I never thought in a league that coaches are getting paid millions of dollars, are they being so loose with who they're deciding to coach these players? They're being very loose.
Yeah.
And what I mean by loose, I don't mean like some of the guys aren't qualified. Well, honestly, some of the guys just aren't qualified, if I'm being real. But it's just shocking. And I'm wondering, for these processes, do they have to go on the board and show anything? Do they have to show? Do they have to break down film? Like, I really do wonder that.
I have no clue, man. I really wish I had that kind of knowledge, because that would mean I've been on an interview there. But I have not had that kind of phone call.
Just to bring that whole thing, just to bring that whole conversation full circle, I know a guy. I'll say it like this: he's been on the team for half a season, right? Went from half a season being ineligible, didn't know any of the playbooks, to being a grad assistant because, I'm cool with the coach, right? That grad assistant position gets you a position, coach position the next year. I'm still playing. He's a position coach. He's had less than a season of playing, and in the film room, he was awful. To 2 years later, he's a position coach.
So you don't know more film.
Yeah,
exactly.
Brian Johnson scares me because, like, on one hand, I'm kind of rooting for Brian Johnson. On the other hand, I don't want to lose him. Because I actually think Brian Johnson's a really good coach and he's underrated. But
now, my thing is Pep Hamilton.
Sure.
That's the one that's the OC that no one, that I'm surprised hasn't gotten an OC role. Well, OC, it's the quarterback coach that hasn't got an OC role yet. Because he was in Houston this year, right?
Sure.
Look at Davis Mills. Davis Mills was not touted to be anything, but he's considered to be our second best quarterback from last year's class, with an awful team around him, who's actually shown to be competent afterwards.
Yeah.
But he has no love. He's shown no love in the OC world.
That's
Mills, crazy to me.
You ready for this? 35th ranked out of 40 quarterbacks versus pressure. 18 of 41, 43.9% completion rate. 293 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 60.7 PFF grade on him. 5 big-time throws, which was an 11.4% mark, so that's a really high mark. Like, he definitely made some plays. 3 turnover-worthy passes. Average depth of target of 10.9 yards. 5 throwaways, 10 sacks. Pressure to sack rate of 17.2. It's respectable. It's not great, but it's respectable. 3.02 time to throw. So you can see there was some elements there. Like, that's a very pro-level number there. 7 scrambles and 58.3 NFL passer rating. And that dude looked like someone that might potentially develop into something in the NFL. I mean, speak to your point. Justin Herbert looked pretty good his rookie season. Pep Hamilton was there. I'll tell you another guy that I thought had a major opportunity was the Colts offensive coordinator. He was their former
Marcus Brady.
Yeah, he was the former quarterback coach there. I was saying that, although don't get me wrong, they wouldn't hire a veteran Malvich, whatever, a veteran quarterback coach. But I thought if somehow Carson Wentz became the comeback player of the year this year, I thought for sure he was going to get a job somewhere as a head coach, as the OC of that offense. Even though he would only have 1 year as an OC, clearly not calling the plays, because of his work with quarterbacks and the fact that it would have been undeniable if he got Carson Wentz back to that level. Now, the debate would have been, was it him or Frank Reich, of course. But nonetheless, it worked for the last quarterback coach that had Carson Wentz playing at a high level. He got an OC job. It didn't work long term, but, it worked for that moment.
Now, I say it like this. Honestly, Carson Wentz was 1 game away from being comeback player of the year.
That one game was pretty bad, though, Jalen. One game was really bad.
Hey, let me tell you the reason why I got to be on Carson Wentz, because I catch myself giving everybody flack the way I used to be on Matthew Stafford back in the day, or a few other people. Carson Wentz lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a playoff, to get into the playoffs. There's no excuses for that. And he's far long enough in his career. So I feel like, and you're paid well enough to where you should be, what's the word I'm looking for? You should matter enough so you can swing the tide. Basically, you should be good enough to beat Jacksonville yourself. Like, in an important game that way, like, it got to be, I don't care if everybody fails. If I'm paying you that much money at a quarterback, you have to be able to beat Jacksonville yourself. yourself.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, I knew Shane Steichen was going to be the OC here because he had been let go from, the Chargers, and he clearly had a connection back to Nick Sirianni. That was incredibly too easy to see coming up. A lot of people gave me credit for that, and it's like I really didn't predict anything that's not known by a 10-minute Google search, honestly. But Pep Hamilton was one of the guys I had kind of, he was on that Charger staff too. And I was like, Pep is the OC here with Jalen Hurts, not necessarily a bad thing, I don't know, guys. I don't think they're going in a different direction because I think they would have already gone that way. Do you think everyone's staying in place from the coaching staff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Unless Gannon gets hired.
Fingers crossed. And I ain't nothing against Gannon necessarily. And it's not even nothing against Gannon because I understand. And even if his excuses, he was trying to protect some of our secondary guys, most of it, I'm fine with that. I just want – I want these players. I like an old defensive coordinator. Give me an old guru guy. Give me an old dude that don't know nothing about analytics, that writes everything down on a notepad and is a crazy.
Hey, we running base all day.
Base all, you feel me? Like,
we running base all day.
When I think of DC, that's what I think of. So already I'm going to be a little biased because I already got a certain type of attitude I want my DC to come with every time.
Yep.
That's just my bias. Now, as a player, that's me as a player thinking I'm in the locker room, what type of attitude I want my DC to have. I want my DC to have a fat dip in his lip. He's about 70 years old, walking with a limp, and he knows football in the back of his hands. That's what I need. I need
absolutely.
The guy that's the DC I need. I need me, and I'm not saying that's Mike Zimmerman, but I need me an aggressive, true football guru. That if he walks in the building, he feels like he knows the most. I need that. Don't
go to the press and say I need. Don't go to the press and tell me we're going to be fast, attacking, this, that, and the third. The whole generic line. Fast, hard hitting, attacking. The generic line of every defensive coordinator. Don't give me that. Show me some attitude and back it up. Like I want you. There's a certain. I know we talked about this before. I questioned. I didn't see anybody on this staff that had that little. Oh, when he walks into a room, you better shut the hell up because I don't want to deal with him. That's who Caleb is explaining. That DC.
The real
you get what
DC,
I'm saying?
The one that's half the head coach. Half the head coach.
Yeah.
That when he walked through, that's the guy that really knows the most on the team about football, probably. Don't nobody know more than that.
Right there. Yeah. Red Eagle with the $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, man. He says, hate to say it, but we all know if Willis falls to 15, Howie probably will take him. With the 3 first-round picks, can't trust Howie not to. It's fair. I mean, I don't know if he will, Red Eagle, but it's fair. It's fair to have the suspicion that that's a high probability. I think that's fair. It's not what I want personally, but I wouldn't bet against it.
So can I ask this question real quick? I know everybody hates this guy. So what the hell is Carson Wentz, man?
Ooh, you want me to tell what Carson Wentz is?
Crappy footwork.
Want me to tell you what Carson Wentz is? That's what happens, bro, when you lose the swag, man. When you're no longer cool. You see what Joe got? Joe got something you can't buy. And Carson ain't got it, bro. And Jacksonville exposed that. My question is this. You put Joe Burrow on the coast, does he lose to Jacksonville?
No.
Second-year quarterback. That's real, bro.
No.
And that's just as simple as it gets. And I know it comes down. People try to break it down to all this other stuff. I know people with sloppy mechanics that still would have beat Jacksonville. Yeah. And once again, that's just
up until before last year, I would have said that was Carson Wentz because we've seen that.
Ooh, and see, I ain't gonna lie. I've seen that be Carson Wentz in perfect situations. For Carson, it seems like and Indianapolis seemed pretty perfect. That's why it was so ugly. That loss to Jacksonville was ugly. Because as a quarterback, what more do you want than an O-line like that in a good run game? And he had decent weapons. So now it's kind of like, I don't know, but one thing I did notice about Carson Wentz, and I keep telling people, if I'm paying you that much money or if you're going to be a top 5 guy, I don't care what team you on. You got to be able to do a little bit, like some of the things, like some of the trends you have, like, I can't stand the sacks Carson Wentz takes. He can't take them sacks. Like, it's just little things like that I can say I'm not surprised by the Jacksonville loss. I held on to that talent too long. And I feel like a few people are going to do that with Wentz.
Tell me what happened to Patrick Mahomes in the last 4 or 5 minutes of that football game didn't eerily resemble Carson Wentz.
Now, let me tell you this. Now, let them go draft the quarterback in the next round, and let's see how Pat Mahomes' attitude is then, and let's see how his spirits is then. Let's see how confident
how he
is
bounces
then.
back and adjusts to that. Yeah.
Now,
I mean, but it did. It was a guy trying to do too much, trying to play hero ball that hold the ball entirely too damn long. Like, it was like, what? Oh, my God. It's like, as an Eagle fan, I'm like, yo, I'm having PTSD watching this. Like,
yep.
Carson Wentz stole Patrick Mahomes' face and put it on in the second half. He stole it.
Andy said, I can win with Carson.
I can win with Carson. Oh my goodness. And it's just like, I hate that for Pat Mahomes, though, man. I thought he was past that. I really did. I thought he was past that. And I feel like everybody gave him the reins to being after Tom Brady. Pat Mahomes is going to be the next flawless, show up guy. But that goose egg he laid in the whole entire second half is ugly. I'm not lying. Just being real.
So this is a good question, guys. Big Fish Little Pond says, hypothetical scenario. If the Eagles take Willis, who would get traded in that situation? Hurts or Minshew?
Oh, Minshew.
That's a great question because I could see either guy technically being traded while Willis sits for a year or two trying to learn the system, trying to learn, NFL coverages and stuff. I think you could play either guy. I mean, if you play Hurts, you got 2 more years over the contract. If you keep Minshew, you got 1 more year. So, I mean, it's a matter of how fast you think Willis would be ready to take the field.
Who brings back more value?
Oh, I think Hurts gives you more value, but
that's the thing. You have to, got a situation that has to match. You get what I'm saying? So that's where, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
just because
Hurts is a better player, or has. Go ahead. Yeah, on one hand, I don't think they're going to take anyone. I don't. On one hand, I really don't feel like they're going to take anyone in this draft. On the other hand, I almost feel like, but it's Howie, man, and you know how this organization is. They're always looking for the golden toy. They're always looking for the new shiny object. It's constant with these guys.
So with that defense, but I think maybe with our fingers crossed, with the amount of defensive studs in this draft, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a break in the first day, and I'm gonna go full and get on the defense. If he does that, I'm fine, man. Hopefully the shiny toys is shiny on defense.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Grab Devin Lloyd, and I'll be happy. Devin Lloyd in the end, and I'll be happy, man. That's all. That's all I want for Christmas, Steve. That's all, man. I want Devin Lloyd in a big end, man. Give me a big end that's 275 plus. A real world, a real problem. Somebody put hands on you. A real fit. Somebody you can't run on that side pass and do nothing on. We can't run screens over there. We can't run zone that way. We can't run trap to them. We can't do nothing. That's the type of end we need. That's
blow
why
up everything.
Down our job. Blow it up. Mm-hmm. Just blow it up. First step
so Drew,
is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Drew asked us a question and said, it would be hard to develop 2 quarterbacks at the same time, right? I mean, if you – oh, my God, my wife's in the other room, so I got to be careful with the way I state this. But it's kind of like trying to date 2 women at the same time, sure. It's not going to be easy. Of course, it's going to be difficult.
Hey, in college, they do it all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. Take your pick.
Yeah, my wife's over here saying that's a death wish.
And the real question is, are the players strong enough to know they're competing? Some players don't like that competition. Everybody don't flourish in that competition. That's the real question. Is he able to compete? And are both of them able to reach their maximum potential while competing? Once again, the professional athletes, you would think so, but not the case for everybody.
Is it iron sharpen iron, or you gonna crack?
That's real, and I'm not saying that's Carson Wentz, but every time the stakes get high and people start bringing noise to him, it seems like he kind of second guesses himself and kind of does some crap out there.
Yeah, probably so. You're probably right.
Yeah.
They could have brought him in to see if he would join one of the candidates they were considering. Maybe. I don't think the Jags were really considering.
Here's the thing for a scheme thing. So, hypothetical, you have Malik Willis. You draft Malik Willis, you trade Jalen Hurts. you say, well, Malik Willis is a few years away, or we're just going to check and see how he develops, blah, 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 blah. How do you, how can I say this? How do you go about implementing your offense? Because at the beginning, you're going to try and see who's really the better quarterback right now. Because if Malik Willis is better than Gardner Minshew right now, you're going to tailor your offense to Malik Willis, not Gardner Minshew. But at the same time, if you have Gardner Minshew at quarterback, you still got to have that conventional stuff to, pump out there.
It's fair. Jeremiah said if you have two quarterbacks, you have none.
Okay.
Steve Young and Joe Montana.
If you got two quarterbacks, you got two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think it depends upon the personality of the quarterbacks.
For sure.
We've all kind of said it. Like, it depends upon how strong they are in terms of can they handle that type of situation. I mean, I don't think any quarterback wants to think about the fact that they're mortals and eventually you get moved on from, right? Joe Montana is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Steve Young was a failed first-round pick for Tampa Bay, and they brought him in. You know what I mean? Like,
wow,
eventually it caught him.
Yeah.
Caught up to.
Hey, think about it. Same way with Favre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the only one that outlived a couple of guys was Brady. Kept outliving his guys, but it's pretty rare.
Only thing like.
He said, "Who?" Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that person you named.
What you said, Brady?
Let me ask you a question. So
the person doesn't exist.
The guy you're unfamiliar with.
Doesn't
do you think
exist.
The Patriots, because the Patriots ended up winning Super Bowls post Jimmy Garoppolo, do you think that they made the right decision?
Of course. Yes, I think they made the wrong decision 2 years ago. I'm still thinking they should have stuck with Tom Brady till he was ready to Tom Brady.
Do you think it was repairable though, Caleb?
What?
The relationship there, like, because I feel like Tom Brady had kind of reached a breaking point with them.
What was repairable? Relationship?
Yeah, like, because it felt like to me as if Tom Brady got tired of playing with the limited amount of weapons that were being spent offensively. Although, like, to be fair, N'Keal Harry, they did try to draft him. They tried to make it work out. They did trade for Mohamed Sanu, although they traded really stupidly for him to try to block the market, which was really weird to give up a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu at that stage in his career. But, I guess, whatever, some people do crazy things.
I mean, like the Eagles, trading a third-round pick for Golden Tate and didn't know how to use them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People do some stupid thing.
The 803 Hitman said how he loves the underdog story. It's true to an extent. You're right. Definitely. This is a really good question. How is it blocking for two different quarterbacks? How does it change things?
So I'll say it like this. For a quarterback that's a little bit more mobile, me personally, I'm reacting off the defensive lineman because if my quarterback starts to scramble, he starts to get a little bit antsy. And now I'm on the defensive to try to figure out what the heck he's supposed to do. When a guy but at the same time, that guy back there scrambling can save your bacon because you miss a blocking assignment. It ain't a sack. It might be 20 yards. You know what I'm saying? Versus a guy with a statue back there. Hey, I know what the pocket is supposed to look like. Hey, as long as I don't let him cross my face here, as long as he don't back me up here, hey, if he gets a little bull rush going, guess what? Roll my hips, pop, reset, boom, sit down on him. Now we straight. I ain't got to worry about nothing. That's the basic stuff that you do with a pocket quarterback. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's a tough one, man, because when you drop down for a second, Caleb, we had a question on the stream, and they were asking, what's the difficulty in blocking for two separate quarterbacks? I don't know if you can hear us, Caleb.
Are you able to hear me now? Can y'all guys hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, you were muted. That's
okay. Okay, my bad. I think that's you talking about how is it different for blocking for two different quarterbacks?
Yes, sir.
I'm telling y'all right now, I know just me personally as a lineman, I only have one thing I must ask of all my QBs. If that pocket clean, don't run up out of there, man. Just don't run up
1,000%.
out of it. If it's a good pocket,
1,000%.
don't run up out of it. Because when you're playing against elite athletes or really good defensive linemen, you getting out there in that space. If a quarterback's not good at moving, I've seen quarterbacks literally run themselves into pressure. And that's probably the only thing. I really don't care about the quarterback, to be real with you. Like, the attitude of the quarterback matters more than me. I got to like you. I prefer to like my quarterback. And
so
I think that's almost more important than the play.
I think you got to have a quarterback that's willing to take criticism.
I think it's a little bit more to that. So, like, blocking for Jalen Hurts versus blocking for Gardner Minshew, what are the differences? That's what I thought he was getting at on that question. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
so you got a guy who gets out of the pocket.
I've not had athletic quarterbacks. I done had statues. I'm trying to see, do I really have a preference? I ain't gonna say I really don't. I really just don't have the preference, I would say. But I can is just really quarterbacks in the pocket to me is the most important thing as a lineman. All I ask, because I'm not saying there's no difference, because it is, because the guy that moves around more, of course, he can get you out of trouble more, you would say. But the guy that moves around more might get himself into trouble more. So it's a double-edged sword with the guy that moves around a lot.
Think about this, you're playing center, right?
Yeah. If you start playing off schedule, then it gets really difficult. I would assume for linemen, because I'm normally on the other side of this conversation as a quarterback. I would assume for linemen, we're running into difficulties when you got a quarterback who's playing out of time with the offense and out of rhythm with it, because now it's messing up the length and the time of blocks. And sometimes it's complex. It's not always just the quarterback. Sometimes it's receivers. Sometimes it's all the crap around you that's making it to where on film it either looks bad on the quarterback or it looks bad on the lineman. And at times it's more complex. There's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Yeah, hey, Caleb. I would say, it depends on the guy. Yeah.
I know you can relate to this. So, you blocking your guy, right? Mm-hmm. Everything straight. Good positioning, good everything. Instead of engaging you anymore, he backs up 2 steps and is looking. And your quarterback cut right off your butt into the D lineman. Can you relate to that one?
You said he back up 2 steps and he's doing what?
No, the D lineman backs up 2 steps and now he's looking for your quarterback, and your quarterback runs right into him.
Yeah, literally. That is what
instead of climbing the pocket.
As a lineman, guess what happens? Everybody's looking at you like, what the world? Even some of the coaches that don't know football are just like, what the world? It is like, do you not see what this man just did? Do you
man, I ain't got eyes in the back of my head.
He walked into the guy. And that's what I mean by in the pocket, because I don't care if you got Lamar Jackson or Tom Brady. Let me tell you the difference. Tom Brady is still, when he's in the pocket, Tom Brady gets the ball out the quickest. You see what I'm saying? So Tom Brady's a statue, but I'm sure Tom Brady helps his old lineman out. You see what I'm saying? Lamar Jackson is probably the most electric player in the NFL. And I bet you he probably helps his old lineman because he avoids sacks. You see what I'm saying? But it's like, it's more so the guy than the style. Because as a lineman, it's kind of hard for me to answer that question, I guess, because in my DNA, I've been drilled. It doesn't matter who's behind you. If you block all day, it should work. If you block all day, no matter who is back there, if he has a clean jersey, it should work. So, but like you were saying, I mean, of course you got them idiots. Well, excuse me, I don't mean to call them idiots, but you have them guys that literally are create sacks. They're create sacks. That's the one thing I say I can't deal with.
They start, so the way it's described to us is you'll get guys that just lack a feel for the game. So, a lot of the things when it comes to quarterback play has a lot to do with feeling pressure. You can't keep your eyes on it. You got to keep your eyes downfield. A lot of it's feeling the pressure. And I think what Jalen's alluding to is when you get a quarterback, instead of gliding up and out in the pocket, gliding and sliding in the pocket correctly, they start kind of tailing. They do that weird tail thing they do, where they'll start like backing away. Carson was pretty bad at doing this, actually, where they'll start backing away and trying to throw off that back foot, make something happen. But they back themselves right into the trajectory of the pass rush. It's not supposed to happen, truthfully. It's really bad pocket mechanics, honestly. But you're right. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be the quarterback that gets called out for it.
Look, and put it this way: as an offensive lineman, you know where that defensive lineman wants to make his move at.
Yeah.
D tackle. If your guard playing a 3-tech at D tackle, he's going to try to make his move at 2.5 yards, or he's going to try and make it right down if he's trying to cross your face. So you got to understand positioning, their landmarks, and your depth of where you want to kick to, all that stuff. But when your quarterback just goes, screw this play, I'm out, all that stuff go out the window because I ain't got eyes in the back of my head. I can't adjust.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, that's the hard thing is like, I get why some quarterbacks do it. A lot of times when I backed up guys, and I'll admit, I'm not flawless. Trust me, if I was flawless, I would have been playing for a D1 school and had a shot at an NFL career. But a lot of times when I backed up and I was doing that back step, really what I was trying to do was I was trying to create enough time, enough space for something that's crossing the middle, because I'm not confident in myself to step up and throw it into a tight window. It's the honest to God truth of what happens a lot of times with that, is I'm kind of backing away to create enough time for that guy to get enough separation that I feel comfortable with the ball placement. And a lot of times you end up killing yourself because you're throwing off your back foot. You're not in a really good throwing base, obviously, and 9 times out of 10, that ball is going to hang, and you're going to give a defender a chance to close in and take it. Or you're going to get yourself killed because the defensive end is going to come around and just clean your clock. But, it's what happens a lot. And I don't know how to explain it to people that's never played, but it's more behavioral than anything. It's about fixing behaviors. And you can't fix behaviors without massive amounts of reps until you build new routines. You know what I mean? It's what I think happened to Carson. I just don't think that he built enough routines to fix habits, to be quite honest. And, the footwork from pigeon-toeing things to, just the overall overstriding still occurring. You remember that Rams game where, don't get me wrong, JJ ran a really crappy route, but
the pick.
Yeah, what the heck, Carson? Dude, come on, man.
You threw it late. You threw it. Was it? He overstrided. And next thing you know,
late as hell delivery. Yeah, he was really late with that delivery.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that's more him? Is it more of him in his ego or him not putting in the work?
It's both.
I think it's more his ego than it is him not putting in the work.
I think it's a little both, because I think if you're putting in the work truly, then you're not falling into muscle memory habits so often. Yeah, you know what I mean? The muscle memory clearly wasn't there. Now, mind you, he did just have a kid that offseason. And, I'm not trying to give the young man excuses because he's a professional athlete, but that could have factored into how much he was able to prepare, during the offseason that year. And he probably felt pretty secure, then ended up drafting Jalen Hurts on top of it all. But, I kind of look at it and it's it's really difficult because I'm looking at the quarterback play here, and a lot of the things I see are completely coachable and they're fixable. But it doesn't guarantee the results will happen the way I'm stating them. It just means that I've witnessed it myself. I've seen people correct these issues and go on to have really, really good careers. The question I have here is he had the foot injury. He was definitely already late on throws and he was missing things before the foot injury. But how much did that affect the ball later on in the season, do you think?
When here in Philly?
Yeah.
What foot injury he had in Philly?
Yeah, he just had to have surgery on. I don't know what it was. Something to do, I think it was with one of his ankles. I think he ended up damaging ligaments in it.
What offseason was this?
No, not offseason, man. Jalen Hurts this year.
Oh.
I confused you by the transition there. Yeah.
Oh.
No. What do you think about that? That whole situation? Because, to be fair, he was already missing throws, if I'm being honest. He was already late on deliveries. He was already missing throws before I knew about it. Now, who knows how long that had been going on. But I don't know, man. Like I could see how that would definitely take something off your deep ball.
I can definitely see that happening. You feel a little pain every time you plant. Yeah. That can really throw off your deep ball, or just the small things. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely like something that requires surgery is clearly causing pain.
So my question is, what type of surgery was it? Because if it's something simple, clean up, boom, bam, 3 weeks to a month, you're good to go. You get what I'm saying? Versus, oh yeah, you in a boot for another 2 months. Then you gotta do some physical, rehab for another 2. Now you're cleared for everything, but the season's right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'm worried about is, do you get a chance to actually train, or you continuously rehabbing?
See here, and that's my thing with Jalen in this offseason. This is a very important offseason for Jalen Hurts. You can't do anything about injuries. Injuries happen. You know what I mean? But it's unfortunate timing, man. Like he needs to be on the field. He needs to be on the field working things. You got any hesitation or worry about that?
About him getting injured consistently, or just
no about this? Because they say he'll be ready by. They say he'll be ready by the end of April, but I mean, how much time is that taking away from your preparation? Now, mind you, they get away from the game for a little while.
Yeah.
But how much preparation is that gonna steal away from him on the season? How much of that's going to be rehab as opposed to trying to work on the things and getting better at some of the things you need to get better at?
So it depends. I'm not there in the film room with him every day. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he is 100% on the whiteboard, because this could be very valuable, whiteboard time, film sessions, all this other stuff, self-reflecting, self-scouting, trying to figure out what your plan is for the off season. You get what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure your position coach in the offensive staff has told you, hey, I want you to work on this, this, and this. All right.
Sure.
In what situations? Okay, we gotta do some, get some film together and track this stuff. Blah 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 blah. But then you also know there are certain plays that you want to improve on yourself, because just because it's a strength doesn't mean it can't be a greater strength. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that's the thing is like there's definitely things you can do in the film room. I'm not like he could definitely learn things from the film room. He can definitely advance his game that way. But I mean, I hope that and I don't know anything about this surgery, Jalen. I have no clue about the injury. I have never personally sustained that type of injury before, so I have no clue what the.
Personally, I don't even know what the injury is.
He did some kind of ligament damage, I think, to his ankle. I don't know exactly what it was. I mean,
it's an ankle injury.
Do you know exactly what it was, Caleb?
I don't know exactly what it was, but I can say this. I don't think he'll be out too long from it, because I feel like the reason why I don't feel like that is because, think about it, the season ended 2 weeks ago. I feel like they probably tried to wait and see if he would heal on his own or something like that. And then when they didn't see the progress they wanted, they decided to have surgery. So I feel like the fact that they even wait to see if he would heal on his own, and that's just me. This is not facts. It's just me taking the assumption why the number one quarterback is not having surgery until 2 weeks after the season. The only excuse for that, in my opinion, is maybe they try to see if it will heal on his own. And I feel like maybe that's a possibility. So hopefully it's not too serious. And as to answer the question on how do I feel like it would affect him, I've been giving Jalen the benefit of the doubt when it comes to work ethic. Because like I said on the last time, he hasn't showed anything besides progression in his career. So I'm going to just hope that it's the same thing as well right here in one of the most important years of progression. I feel like his first important year is when he first went to Oklahoma. And I think now for his career, this season right here, he has to show massive improvement. He has to show massive improvement. And I think he's lined up for that. And even with this ankle injury, I feel as if he'll still be able to work on it. Hopefully he does. If he doesn't, that's on him.
Yeah, that's my only fear is that like I said, I don't know the extent of the injury. I don't know how much it impairs anything that he can do. And like I said, guys, I've never suffered anything even remotely similar to that guy. So I don't want to give you any impression I'm an expert in any regard to this. But that'd be my fear is that it would take away from his ability to get on the field with a private quarterback coach and put work in. But to be fair, I don't know the timing of professional athletes. You know what I mean, Jalen? Like, I don't know what their routine is. I know they get away from the game for a little while. And maybe this is a blessing in disguise for Jalen because maybe he just needs that distance for a little while to reset. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. I don't know what the time frame is for these guys. Like, I want to say normally it's around April when you normally hear that they're working with private quarterback coaches and private coaches.
So what drills can you do with a bum ankle, so to speak?
Probably depends
So,
upon
like,
the
what
nature
things
of what.
can you work on? Like, hey, can I work on the velocity of my ball strictly based off my upper body mechanics?
He could do some things. You can. He can use some bands and stuff like that to try to strengthen the his upper core and stuff like that. With that said, though, Jalen, like, I'll be honest with you, it's really hard to work on anything on the lower half if it's an ankle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, until it's healthy.
He can work on that neck up. He can work on that neck up, though, from the neck up.
It's true.
That feel,
it's very true.
and that's
100%.
massive for a quarterback. For a quarterback, that's massive. I mean,
and he can work with bands. He can work with bands and stuff. And there's some things he can do for the upper body to still, to kind of get himself into a rhythm. But with that said, like the bigger thing, Jalen, is like trying to get him to play in time with the offense. Like that's that's a feel for the game and getting him to hit that rhythm step correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know that can be done without, like, number one, like the first thing is we should probably discuss this, Jalen, because you and I both know, and Caleb, you know it too. There's only so much a quarterback's going to do on air, even healthy with an ankle. There's only so much improvement you're going to make there. But at least you can get some kind of reps, 1-on-1, 7-on-7 type stuff. You can do some stuff like that with a private quarterback coach to try to get used to being in rhythm, no doubt about it. But it's not the same. You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing as game speed. But I mean, look, he made improvements over the course of the year. It may be something he still struggles with early and gets better with, hopefully, as the season goes on next year. I just don't know, guys. I mean, what is your honest God feeling about people playing on air?
I personally think it depends on the position.
It's worthless for us.
Position, yeah, facts. As a lineman, I mean, completely. I think as a quarterback and how much he has to know from the neck up and how much, once again, I don't know because I'm not in the quarterback room, but how much it appears he may have missed or eyes wasn't where they needed to be, or maybe, I'm gonna just say, or maybe looking, or maybe being told to look at the deep guy first, or his reads, or his progressions. You see what I'm saying? I feel like from the neck up, if he is out, he should be able to learn so much. Like, you remember when I was telling y'all about how a quarterback should be able to take command of an offense? I truly do believe that. And I feel as if there's no better way than getting the film. That's the one thing that even if you did have a healthy quarterback, he can't do without film. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same way you can't get better. Same way you can't get better without looks, a quarterback can't get better without film. Almost. Like, you have to.
I agree. And I think that's a big element of handing the offense over to Jalen. I think that's part of that process of allowing a quarterback to have more autonomy at the line of scrimmage, to identify coverage and to do things based off of that. Because that's really what our offense, I think, in my opinion, is really lacking. Is that, Nick draws it up. You have a, look, okay, this is what we're going to try to do. This is what we believe the kind of coverage they're going to be in. These are some of the built-in safeguards we have, which are Nick say. Nick said straightforward, I did not give the right alerts to Jalen to beat Tampa's coverage. And that was the problem. And that's a problem that has to be addressed by Jalen showing that he can take more of the offense on, which I think goes to your point, Caleb, about getting into the film room. Because that's when you have a concept that's meant to beat zone, but you clearly got a man concept, so you know that this guy should be open. Can't say he will be open, but there's a high probability that this guy will be open. That really only comes if your coach gives you the autonomy to change things up at the line like that. And I think that's the next advancement in the offense, to be honest.
I definitely agree with that because I've seen a few times where it felt like the play they was in might have been a bad play for the formation they was in, or just been a bad play period for the defense. And a couple of
Mm-hmm.
times I would feel as if Jalen would just go with it.
Yeah.
Just got to run it. And
You're
and I
supposed to
would
check
see that.
out stuff like that.
Exactly.
And the fact that he didn't either shows me he's not allowed to, or he's not comfortable to yet. What I'm saying
Exactly.
What I'm saying is he has to get to the point to where next year he should be way closer to that. Whether it was the reason he didn't know or he wasn't allowed to, he has to be closer at that. And I know film without a doubt. While he can't do nothing, he needs to watch film 24/7. Because the time something
100%.
comes towards him, he has to see it. He got to. And I feel like we almost underrate that. That's almost just as important, if not more important, for quarterbacks, in my opinion. Being able to process that stuff. Because like I said, there's so many guys with the arm talent or is decent. But you come out there, you come in a different look, they have no clue what to do. None. It's completely shell-shocked. And that's hard to win like that consistently.
Hey, Caleb, let me ask you a question. Right before practice really started, you guys winning the stretching lines and everything like that. Did y'all offensive coordinator basically pull everybody from 7-on-7? If you get this, look in the secondary, what are the plays that we want to go do? Okay, we want to do this. What do they like to do out of this? This, and this. And they run through it right before practice.
Mm-hmm.
Then they call over the lineman. What?
Yep, and then they show you and be like, if they go into this, off of this is what we'll check out of. They'll tell you all that.
Yep. I feel like that's supposed to be ingrained and done every day in the film room, at practice, everything. Because you got basically the quarterback and the OC have to be connected. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%, man. You're right.
Yeah.
You know what drives me crazy, guys? I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I know the media doesn't do this intentionally, but I don't like the way that sometimes they will devalue the importance of a walkthrough as if it means nothing. And it's like, that's actually a really important practice.
By this level, by the time you're professionals, walkthrough is almost more important to practice. It's like, we're professionals now. I'm pretty sure we should know how to play football fundamentally. We should know how to wrap up. We should know how to fit. We should know this. The biggest,
exactly. You know how to climb to a backer, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But guess what? If I give you this look, they go axe blitz off of this, but they do it in a faulty way. It's a little delayed. You got to get used to that time, and you got to see it. You got to feel it out. You know what I'm saying? So when Saturday, Sunday, whenever you play, Monday, okay, yeah, we ran it a little bit, but this is way different than what we talked about in real, in practice versus here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dante, I appreciate that, man. He says, I love the content with these guys. I appreciate that. Very fortunate to have Caleb and Jalen come in here and talk football. They're both got really good football minds. They're former collegiate athletes. They understand, they see the game in different ways. And they understand it from a line play perspective, where I see it more from the quarterback and receiver play, route combinations and things like that. So it's always really helpful to get people who can see the game a little differently. Just so you guys know, Lit City Lambo is also a former collegiate player. I'm trying to work to get him on the channel as well. Talk a little football. He played a little safety and linebacker at the collegiate level. So we're going to work to get him on here. My guy, Sam Shady Sports, Sam writes for the website, guys. He puts up a lot of quality content on the website. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate you so much for doing that. And he joins me every now and then on some Saturdays to talk a little football and spend some Saturdays. So I really do appreciate you two guys. Thank you, guys.
Oh man, I love it. I love it on here. It's amazing.
No, we appreciate you, man.
Hey, it's always fun, guys, because I didn't even realize we've been on here for 2 hours and 19 minutes.
And we ain't even got to go to O-line. If we stopped at strictly O-line, man, we might have been on here for another 3 hours. We talk that all day.
Yep.
Here you go, right here, guys. Alex said, our next live stream needs to be about the O-line next. We are working on some stuff. Jalen has asked me to pull some screen stuff. I'm just trying to figure out what games are best to pull or what concepts to pull. We don't really want to look at tunnel screens. We all kind of understand what a tunnel screen is and what's going on there. We want to look more so towards the tight end and running back screens that are going on and kind of the timing and what's going on with the offensive line and the way they're blocking it up.
And the whole reason for that is because last year, Trey Thomas pointed out, hey, a lot of times these guys are going to their landmarks late. They're not getting to the right landmarks. They're not identifying the right guys to go and pick up on screens.
Mm-hmm.
That's why our screen game has been so anemic at times. Don't get me wrong, we pop one here and there, but it's not blocked up right. So I want to take my own, we want to take our own look at it and see, all right, what was he talking about? Did it get fixed from last year, as in 2020 to 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. And then we're also going to do some pass pro. You guys know we did the all 22 review on the running game against Tampa Bay. Probably need to do some pass pro because there's a dominant narrative out there, and I want to get your two takes on this before we jump off tonight. I think it's a good way to end this. We talked a lot about quarterbacks, so let's talk a little bit about wide receivers before we jump off. Our offensive line before we jump off. My bad, guys. The narrative that this is a top 5 O-line. I agree to an extent. It's a very good run blocking line. Do you guys feel this is a top 5 pass blocking line? Do you think it's that highly regarded in pass pro?
Oh, looks like Caleb fell off. No, I don't. The reason why
I'm getting out of here on this question.
The reason why is as much as we praise that left side is that much of a liability in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
Mailata can't defend against a cross chop to save his life yet.
Yeah.
Dickerson is getting eaten up alive when he pass sets. I don't know. His body gets narrow. He just gets walked back. He tries to pop back in. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And it's weird. Lane, I'll say it like this. Lane plays veteran a lot.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is he does his job according to, how can I say this? He does his job according to what's supposed to happen, but in that situation, he knows stuff is going wrong. I need to hold him for another half second, but I really can't do it. So I'm just going to push him, do my job, and let it play out how it plays out. If our guy escapes, hey, did my job. Now I'm just turning around playing, being a football player, trying to help out.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by he plays veteran at times. JP was famous for it. Like, as a matter of fact, we talked about you said JP missed the block, right?
Yeah.
The first time we discussed what a different
It was the Seattle playoff game.
Yep. You said JP missed the block.
JP. Yeah.
Nope. It was the guard Isaac Seumalo who missed. Because he was supposed to be, he had a wraparound. His whole body went to the right with everybody else, but there was no man on his immediate side. That guy crossed his face and looped around. He thought he was going to loop to the tackle. JP is already just sitting there looking at he's looking at the DB, bluff it. His eyes will immediately come inside for anything. He just stayed in no man's land and then looked back out at the DB like, he's going to come any day now. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by playing veteran.
Yeah,
Lane
absolutely.
Johnson is definitely, by far, that's the best way to describe it. And that's the best way to describe how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game went, too. The mistakes you see others make, Lane ain't making. And the right salty moves, Lane is doing that because he's experienced. He knows to hold guys longer. He knows to stiff on certain blocks. He knows if he gets the safeties on certain blocks or spacing. Jason Kelce, if I get this safety, there's nobody else to block. It's stuff like that he knows. Every single play they run, Lane Johnson knows from tight end to tight end for sure. At least. You see what I'm saying? So just his knowledge and his
Kelce
everything.
Too.
Kelce too. Kelce for sure as well. And that'll help
I'd say
Mailata
Kelce way more than Lane, though.
Yeah, I can definitely say that.
I'd say Kelce way more than Lane. Because Kelce gets beat a lot more than we think. But the thing is, he's a football player. He gets it. All right, I get beat.
So, Caleb, what are your thoughts there? Like, because I hear it a lot. They say, like, it's a top 5 offensive line. I'm like, it's a very good offensive line. And in terms of run blocking, I definitely agree it's top 5. I don't know. I don't think that we're bad in pass pro. I'm not trying to insinuate, like, this team's horrible at pass pro. Like, we're not the Bengals, but I feel like we're more 12 through 16 in pass pro, not top 5. Do you see things differently, or?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say I see it a little differently. Now, the biggest liability is that left side, like he's saying. That's the liability. If we're talking
Mhm.
about pass rushing and things like that, I think more so because of youth, and even from a lot of youth as well, because he hasn't been playing the position long enough. You see what I'm saying? But if we're just talking about, I don't know, man. Lane Johnson's a stud in pass protection. Jason Kelsey's a stud in pass protection. But Mailata is the biggest liability because it's not only looks, it's pass rushes that he don't see it being set up on him. Does that make sense? Like, you can see his speed, the power set up on you. You see it coming. You see certain things coming, and that game within the game, I just don't know if he has that yet. And it comes back to bite him. I don't care how good of an athlete you are. I don't care who your coach is. It comes to a point, especially in the NFL, man, with these elite pass rushers, these like I said, these world beaters, these monsters on the end. Once you're playing against these ends, unless you know the game inside the game, you might lose off of he just beat you that play. And that's not
I'll say it like
happening
this.
on the lot.
It's famous. I forgot the game. What's his? Mailata got beat 3 times off of a cross chop and couldn't figure it out to save his life. The only thing that saved him in that game, I think he ended up going out hurt. Because he ended up giving up I think he gave up 2 sacks that game and 1 major pressure. It was just off of a cross chop. He didn't get it. It was like, all right, your body's here. Okay, either you're going to try and make contact with me at the your 5-yard landmark. All right, let me go ahead and shoot my hands. Wait, your whole body is a half a person over. Your inside hand is swiping my outside hand. Oh crap! Now I need to get on my high horse and try and ride you out. But now some of those guys are good enough to bend the edge and right there, Jalen.
I won't make you guys go too far into prospects because I know you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys have been on it for almost 2.5 hours. I really do appreciate you doing this. Just before we jump off, I got to get I need to get your guys' take on one thing. Falale, however you say his name, the big boy from Minnesota. I should call him. That's a man. I'm not going to call him a boy. I don't need that guy trying to chase me down.
Facts. Big people, man.
He gonna take your lunch money, Steve.
Exactly. He gonna have to catch me. I know he had a rough Senior Bowl, and I was expecting him to have a rough Senior Bowl. Jalen, you and I talked about it on my live stream where I said I thought he's tremendously talented, but I thought there was a lot to still go around here. Like he's got a lot of work to do still. And it showed at the Senior Bowl, man. He got taken for speed to power quite a bit. They were getting him with that speed rush a lot at the Senior Bowl practices.
Remember when LaRaven Clark got here and you were looking at his draft profile and people were saying, oh, he's a mountain of a man. Look at his arm length. Nobody can bull rush him. I said, that's a lie right there. That guy, look at his feet. He can be speed to power. And lo and behold, speed rush, speed to power. Oh, he's looking up at the quarterback and see, like, you got him.
And that right there, that nugget right there. If you never played online, I can give you the biggest gem. If a dude can take on the bull well or has a great hip strike, I can play with you at any moment, man. What I mean by take on the bull well, that means like you have a strong core, I would say, naturally.
Yep.
Some guys get hit with a bull day one, never played online a day in their life. It doesn't affect them. Their core is just naturally strong. They naturally have strong cores. People like that and people with great get-offs are the gems. You see athletic guys all the time, 340 pounds, can't take on a bull to save their life. Can't do it to save their life. And 9 times out of 10, if they can't take on the bull, their explosion probably ain't quite there as well. You see what I'm saying? It leads to the get-off. It all correlates together.
Yeah. Caleb.
Now, here's the difference.
Let me ask you a question.
I had the other way around.
Now.
What?
He's being devalued now, right? Like this is clearly going to devalue his draft stock. Because if he had come out here and just dominated dudes, he's probably going to go in the back half of the first, early second round. I would say he's probably a third round pick now. Probably solid.
That's the thing. I'd take him in the third round. Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I still want to get him. I know that there's a lot of work to be done here, and this is a dude that's not contributing immediately, but Stoutland can develop, man.
See, here's my thing. I don't want that guy in space.
Yeah.
I don't want him in space. So guess
You
what?
wanna move him
I'm gonna kick
into
him
the
down.
inside?
Honest to God, I want to kick him down because a lot of the run dominant stuff that we see on tape is because there's a short window between him and the defender. Not he's out there trying to go reach block. Oh, he can't really reach block him. Well, let me put the hands of God on him and put him down for a second. It's none of that. It's more, oh, he's right here. Well, I'm 6'9", 380 pounds. Let me toss you like a rag doll into the soup, and you look dumb. Now I'm gonna finish you. And it's like, that's it. And that's the highlight tape. But once you start digging into the footwork of everything, like, okay, he's crossing your face. I need you to take on that block and get your hat across his face. Because even if he tries to come backside, you got that backside hand. Boom. If he stops his feet, your momentum in that backside hand, you can toss him. It's called fast feet, slow hand.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And like what you were saying, that's the little stuff that Lane Johnson knows. Like Lane Johnson knows, man, when he was telling me how Miata kept getting his hands fit down, I guarantee Lane Johnson like, I'm gonna just fake him. The time that happened, I'm gonna give him fake hand.
Flash him.
The first time he got his hands knocked down, I don't care. The first thing I'm thinking, I gotta flash him. I gotta flash him. I gotta get him off. And that's just, and once again, I think with Miata playing longer, it's not gonna take 3 pressures to get to that point. It shouldn't take 3 pressures to get there. After you see dude really on film, you see dude using his hands well on film, you should know already coming into the game. Oh man, I might have to give him a fake here. This guy's really well with his hands. I might have to give him a fake off the rip just to get him away from it a little bit. But for it to take so long to get
why do you think some of these big dudes, Caleb, some of these big guys that are just really big, physically imposing dudes, somehow, like, they get caught with speed to power? What is it about? Yeah. Like, what is it about them that's causing that situation? Because I think a lot of people just assume you see a 600, 380-pound guy, nobody's going to go speed to power on this dude. Are you crazy? But I thought with Falale, however you say his name, I thought that he was really susceptible to speed to power to the inside. When they went speed to power and went inside on him, it was like butter, man. They were just slicing right through.
I'm gonna give you a little gem, man. I be telling all my old teammates and I joke around with them. That skill player logic, man. Oh, he big. He big. I know. Once you get down in them trenches inside that D-line, O-line, don't nobody care about the size. We all know, because we all done seen it countless times. Look like
6'8"
Tarzan and play like James. 6'8".
Yes, sir.
Look like Tarzan and play like James. And it happens.
Hey, I'm gonna say it like this: there's a lot of guys out there that's 6'8", 300 plus out there. They ain't playing.
Yeah,
they're not playing.
Yeah,
and let me tell you. And let me tell you why you see so many of those. I'm gonna be real with you, Steve. I'm gonna be real with you, Coach. The guys picking linemen might not be O-line guys, so they see the size and they're impressed and think they can coach it up. If you go to an O-line guy, I don't even care about the size. I know guys 5'11", 275 pounds that take on the bull rush better than anybody.
Yes, sir.
That's real. Now, when you have the Jordan Mailatas that can move and take on the bull rush, that if he's coached, he might be the best left tackle in the game.
And the one thing we haven't talked about yet either.
So, gentlemen, what do they mean by that? For people that are listening in the comments section, you always hear that, that a tackle does really good sitting down on that power rush. What do they mean by that? What are they talking about?
So you're taught. Some people are taught different ways. I've been seeing different approaches to it. Some people do it called the walk back. You hear some coaches telling you, so basically when you get hit square in the middle of yourself, you're taught to walk back slowly. So basically you're trying to keep your ground. You're slowly walking back. I've done heard of that. Some people call it the hop. When you bull rush, you hop it out. And then you sit down. You take a hop.
You take a hop. So are you talking about rolling? Hey, Caleb, are you talking about when they sit on the bull rush, he got a little traction? All right, let me go ahead and roll my hips into him and pop out. Now sit down.
Hop it out and sit down.
Yep.
Yeah, Yeah, try to. That's when they're already fully committed. Like they're full. You're mid bull rush. You're getting beat. If I don't hop this out, I might get my butt kicked. You see what I'm saying? I gotta hop this thing on out, hurt the roll, and pop my hips. Some people teach you to walk it back. The biggest problem for real, I'm telling you, watch the film. Watch the guy with the ugly highlights. Sometimes it's just about dropping your you-know-whats and saying, I ain't going to get ran over. I'm being so real with you. That's why I incorporate guys with great get-offs and great body highlights. Watch their pass pro. They might not be the most fundamentally sound, but they make good contact with the defender, and usually you can clean it up. You can clean up the footwork. You clean up all that. If you see big guys getting ran over, it might be their feet. Their feet might be too narrow at times. But if he's a dog, he's not going to let you run over him anyway. If he's running them, you see what I'm saying? It just ain't happening. But when you see it happen in the league, it might be even feet. Feet might be too narrow. Feet might be too wide. Feet might be out of position. There's all different type of hand placement.
You might have overkicked.
Might have overkicked. So you try to come back inside and he hits you square in the chin. You see what I'm saying?
And next thing you know, you on your ground because you crossed your legs.
Praying the quarterback got the ball off. Like, please.
All right, guys. I appreciate y'all so much for coming on, guys. Everyone in the comment section, thank you guys so much. It's 2 hours and 36 minutes pretty much at this point, guys. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down a little bit because I got like melted like ice cream beside me and stuff. I didn't realize who was going to be on here this long, guys. Caleb, Jalen, thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man.
No, I really do appreciate you. Thank you guys for being patient. I was losing connection a little bit. I don't know why my Wi-Fi is acting up, so it was going in and out. But I really do appreciate it. I look forward to talking past the screen game with you guys, too. I look forward to that.
Likewise.
Yeah, I'll get that set up as quickly as I can, guys. I'll probably send you guys some messages where I'll send you like, hey, is this a play you want to break down? I'll probably send you little clips of the play and just see what you guys think. But yeah, definitely, man. We'll definitely get this set back up again. And Lit City Lambo, hit us up, man. Message us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and let us know, man. And we'll get you on a live stream and we can talk some linebackers, some safety. There's plenty of topics to talk about with the Eagles because really and honestly, we need almost upgrades in almost every position, pretty much.
Real quick, I know I said that earlier, and I probably don't explain it well. Specifically talking about the O-line, I just want to clear this up a little bit. Especially when I say top 5, I look at it from a potential point of view. If Malata to Lane Johnson played at their highest potential, I don't see any guys with better players than them. I don't see too many teams. And potential-wise, Malata has tremendous upside. Landon Dickinson, same thing. Jason Kelsey's one of the best centers in the last decade. Lane Johnson is one of the most efficient and solid right tackles in the last few years. And we can put anybody at right guard with them four pretty much. And that's very valid. Now, and also, they have the highlights. They love catching bodies. And, me personally, I take that very personal. I got to see the bodies. They will roll you up. From Nate Herbert will roll you up. The second string guys will roll you up, and that's very important. That attitude matters so much. So
it's a mindset.
And they got it. I can say that. Philly O-line definitely got it. So that's why.
I do agree with that.
All right, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Chat, appreciate you guys. I'll see what I can do. I'm going to definitely release a video tomorrow. If I have time to go live again, guys, I'll go live again tomorrow, but we'll have to see. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to do them over the weekend like that, but I'll definitely release a video, guys. I got millions of notes and things here from being tracked, guys. I'm going to try to work on getting this uploaded so everybody can take a look at it within the community and kind of be able to pull the notes and look for yourself to see how certain guys rank on certain, markers. But thank you, guys, man. I really appreciate y'all coming on and talking today, and we'll do this again real soon.
For sure. Thank you.
No problem. Appreciate you.
All right, guys. Till next time.